With that plan dead, Lu Xiao told me to hire the three new brothers instead. Hearing about their knife-throwing skills made up my mind. I offered 300 taels and told Lu Xiao to summon them right away. He caught his breath and kept going. Who could have guessed the oldest and second new brothers would try stealing a chicken mid-journey? A vicious dog chased them, and they shattered their legs completely. So ultimately, only Niu Laosan showed up. I still paid him the full 200 taels. Last night, I led Niu Laosan into Qingyun village to finish the job, exactly as Bai Chong ordered. Luckily, young Master Yi stayed sharp and spotted us early. He managed to subdue us both without even saying a single harsh word. Your Honor, every single word I said is the absolute truth. On the floor, Bai Chong groaned in absolute panic. All he could do was repeat the same phrase, Your Honor. Mao is lying and spinning tales. I never once asked him to do any of this. Ma Xiaomao let out a cold laugh. Your Honor, Chong showed up at my house personally yesterday. Every neighbor saw him. Go ask them yourself. As for the remaining 700 silver taels, I buried them in the dirt under my rice jar. Send your men to dig there and see for yourself. He paused, deciding to add fuel to the fire, Your Honor. I strongly believe Bai Jia knew everything too. She took that slap to the face. How could she not burn with absolute hatred and fury? Most likely she paid out of pocket to end Yi Fengyun's life as well. Li Wei immediately split his men into two teams. One squad rushed to Ma Xiaomao's place to unearth the silver. The other headed to the Bai family mansion to drag Bai Jia into court. Before long, both squads returned one after another. The head guard stepped forward, carrying a pile of pure silver in his hands. Your Honor, we dug this up from under the rice jar at Ma Xiaomao's house. Not a single tael missing, it's exactly 700. We asked his neighbors too, and Bai Chong definitely visited him yesterday. Bai Jia was hauled into the courtroom. Seeing her father and older brother sprawled on the ground, barely clinging to life, her heart nearly stopped in pure terror. She figured hiring a pro killer was a guaranteed easy way to eliminate me and Xiao Wan. Who could have predicted it? Not only was I alive and well, but two Bai family members got beaten halfway to death instead. Li Wei slammed his gavel down hard. Bai Jia, you stand before this official. Why aren't you kneeling? Bai Jia dropped to her knees with a heavy thud, her voice thick with tears. This humble woman was simply foolish for a moment. I beg your honor for mercy. Sir, this entire mess was plotted solely by my older brother. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Bai Chong struggled to lift his head, eyes wide with shock and pure disbelief. Sister, how could you be so heartless? You suggested killing Yi Fengyun and Xiaowan first. Why refuse to admit it right now? He clung to the hope his little sister would soften and share the blame alongside him. But who could expect what happened next? The second Bai Jia stepped into court. Her very first words were used solely to clear her name. Brother, don't you dare try framing me. Bai Jia wiped her tears. When did I ever suggest killing Yi Fengyun? We were actually engaged to each other once. Yes, the engagement broke off, but I always held fond feelings for him. Yesterday on the street, I spoke rudely and totally crossed the line first. That's exactly why Xiaowan ordered me slapped 3 times. I completely deserved it. I hold no grudges, so why would I pay for his murder? Your Honor, this humble woman is being falsely accused. In just a few short sentences, she washed her hands clean and cleared her name. Bai Chong grew so furious with his sister. He started coughing violently before suddenly throwing up. Driven by pure, unadulterated rage, he spat up blood. Then he forced himself to look straight at Li Wei. Your Honor, my sister truly started this whole thing to hire to kill Yama. She handed me 2,000 silver taels. When that wasn't nearly enough, she actually sold her jewelry. Your Honor, please see the truth here, brother. You are framing me again. Bai Jia raised her voice. I clearly said those 2,000 taels were merely a loan. That jewelry I sold was just old junk I hated anyway. You were the one saying Yi Fengyun completely humiliated the entire Bai family. You insisted he had to die. How dare you blame me? She kept bowing down, slamming her forehead against the ground while sobbing bitterly. These two siblings tore each other to pieces right in front of the whole court. Neither wanted to shoulder even a shred of blame. But the bitter truth remained. Bai Chong couldn't present a single piece of hard evidence to back up his claims. Li Wei went quiet for a second. Then he grabbed a red-tipped bamboo token and slammed it onto the floor with a sharp crack. Bai Chong has shown complete contempt for the law. He openly broke the laws of Great Xian and actually hired a hitman for murder. All witnesses and evidence are right here. Yet he stays completely stubborn, refusing to show any remorse. So I sentence him to beheading after the autumn trials. Take him away and lock him under heavy guard. Bai Chong screamed at the top of his lungs about injustice. Nobody in the courtroom cared at all. 2 guards grabbed him tight by the arms and dragged him straight down into the dungeon. Sprawled on the floor, Basan watched helplessly as his only son got a death sentence. It felt like the sky itself had crashed down onto his skull. How could the Bai family bloodline ever survive this? Li Wei kept handing down his harsh sentences. Because Ma Xiao helped hire the assassin, he gets locked up and sentenced to 3 years of hard labor. Lu Xiao acted as the middleman, so he gets 1 full year of hard labor. As for Niu Laosan, driven by sheer greed to commit murder, he takes 30 strikes from the cane, followed by 5 solid years of hard labor. Guards immediately drag Ma Xiao and Lu Xiao away. Meanwhile, Niu Laosan took another 30 brutal strikes from the cane before getting dragged down to the cells. Ba San and Master Xiao had already taken 20 strikes earlier, which completely settled their accounts. They managed to avoid any extra punishment. With 0 solid evidence against Ba Ya, she walked away totally unpunished too. The case was pretty much closed, so I stepped right up and raised my voice. Lord Li Wei, last night was supposed to be my wedding night with Xiao Wan. We were just sitting in our room having a sweet moment. Then suddenly, Bai Chong's hired assassin burst right in and completely wrecked our special occasion. Even now, just thinking about it makes me violently sick. The Bai family used their own money to hire that assassin, so they owe me serious compensation for all my losses. Li Wei nodded. Your demand is completely fair and logical. How much should the Bai family pay you? I held up a single finger. Not much. 1,000 taels. Hearing that number, Ba San exploded with absolute rage right there on the floor. Yong Yun, you didn't even lose a single hair on your head. Why on earth should the Bai family pay you 1,000 taels? I let out a cold laugh. Maybe because your precious son paid a guy to literally end my life. My son is already sentenced to lose his head after the autumn trials. You won't get a single copper coin of those 1,000 taels. Ba San stiffened his neck, his voice hard as iron. He already had the whole plan figured out. The smart move was tossing silver around, bribing everyone he needed to break his son out fast. So you really refuse to pay up? I asked him again with a slight smile. Absolutely not. That was when Li Wei's voice grew dangerously serious. Ba San, Yong Yun's requested compensation is completely reasonable, and if you seriously refuse to pay, then I will personally order you locked up right now. You can go do hard labor right alongside Ma Xiao and the others. Hearing prison and hard labor, Ba San totally mentally broke. He kept muttering about how completely unfair it all was. But deep down he was fiercely cursing Li Wei's ancestors. You corrupt dog, taking bribes from Yong Yun. Sooner or later I am reporting you straight to the prefecture. But despite his mental curses, he was entirely at their mercy. In the end he gritted his teeth and gave a tense nod. I will pay. Fine, I will pay the 1,000 taels. He weakly turned toward Ba Ya. Go home, get the silver from your mother, and bring some guys to carry me back. Ba Ya bowed respectfully, then quickly sprinted right out of the courtroom. Just then I reached deep into my robe and pulled out a tiny porcelain bottle. Gentlemen, I have a bottle of premium healing powder right here. No matter how horrific your injuries are, just sprinkle a bit on the wound. It stops the bleeding instantly and totally kills the pain. Good things never come cheap. 3,000 taels a bottle. Master Xiao's eyes instantly lit up. Brother Yi, is this medicine truly as magical as you claim? Listen, Yong Yun, never lie. So could you maybe sprinkle a bit on my lower back just to test it out? If it works, I will buy it. 3,000 taels was serious cash, and he hated risking a scam. I chuckled. Old Xiao skipped the test. Let me just sprinkle some on your daughter's lower back instead. One look at the results, and you will see its power. Then I walked right over to Xiao Xiaoxian. Li Wei had seriously gone out of his way to back me up earlier. So honestly, it was only right that I took care of his wife as a favor. But Xiao Xiaoxian was incredibly shy by nature. Her face flushed bright red as she refused, insisting that her maid apply it instead. I decided not to push the issue. But right then, Xiao Wan beat everyone to it and snatched the bottle from me. I will put this medicine on Lady Li myself. It was not like she deeply cared about Xiao Xiaoxian. She just could not stomach wasting such precious medicine. The young master clearly said this one bottle was worth 3,000 taels. That was enough cash to buy absolute mountains of roast chicken. There was no way she would let some clumsy maids waste this treasure before an incense stick could even burn halfway down. Xiao Xiaoen returned alone after changing her clothes. She walked with light, graceful steps, needing absolutely no one to support her. She cheered happily. Father Master Yi's medicine is truly magical. The bleeding stopped right away, scabbing over in seconds. She felt kind of itchy now, but absolutely zero pain. Master Xiao stood there, completely speechless. He yanked out a banknote. Brother Yi, I am buying it. Money for goods. 3,000 silver taels. No bargaining. Take 1,000 as deposit, and I will pay the rest at home. I took the note, handing him the exact same bottle Xiao Xiaoen just used. Master Xiao paused. Brother Yi, hand me a new bottle. That is used, almost empty. A new one? Why, I waved my hand. This bottle was brand new and sealed. Completely full, and your daughter only used a tiny speck. If you feel ripped off, make your daughter pay. Master Xiao still hesitated. He just wanted a completely untouched bottle. Plus, he knew I had more stock. Otherwise, why sell it? While he debated, Bai Da Han suddenly interrupted him, still flat on the dirt nearby. Yong Yun, give me that medicine, I will buy it. That sudden shout made Master Xiao decide no swapping. I will take this half bottle. Right then, he asked an officer to help apply the powder. While no one watched, the officer secretly hid some powder under his fingernails. Instantly, Master Xiao stood up with ease. Sure enough, his backside felt zero pain. A little medicine remained, so he casually asked Bai Dahan, "Old Bai, a bit of medicine is left. Want it?" "Yes, hurry up and give it to me." "I can give you the medicine," Master Xiao said slowly. "I will even drop the 4,000 taels you owe, but you pay my 2,000 tael debt to Brother Yi." Turns out they already had a deal. Master Xiao was supposed to help free Bai Chong at court. His fee for the job was 5,000 taels, but the guy was not freed. Master Xiao just took a beating for nothing, totally losing face in front of everyone. Unable to hide his anger, he simply demanded 3,000 taels straight from Bai Dahan. Bai Dahan rolled his eyes in pure rage. He failed the job, yet still demanded money. Was anyone on earth more shameless? But ultimately, Master Xiao was the county magistrate's father-in-law. Here in Qinggong County, Bai Dahan could not afford to offend him. Cursing inwardly, he finally agreed. "I will pay those 2,000 taels right now. Just hurry and give me the medicine." Sadly, the tiny bit left only covered half his backside. The other half still had that agonizing wound. Even so, Bai Dahan felt huge relief. With Master Xiao's support, he barely managed to stand up. Just then, Biya returned with 2 servants, offering the 1,000 taels. I casually took the money. Bai Dahan muttered gloomily for the remaining 2,000 taels. "Come to my estate and collect it." "No rush," I stopped him with a smile. "I have long heard you, Bai Dahan, really love the dice. Luckily, I started enjoying it myself lately. How about a small bet today?" I waved the 1,000 tael note Master Xiao just gave me. Bai Dahan narrowed his eyes in deep focus. He had loved dice since boyhood. People just thought he was lucky, never realizing it was pure skill. 3 dice. 1 simple shake, and he could roll whatever number he wanted. Years ago, he rolled 100 times straight alone at home. Every single time 3 sixes. That edge gave him the guts to play major gambling halls year-round. He quickly asked, "What size bet are we talking?" "Up to you." 20? I do not play for scraps. When Bai Dahan gambles, the minimum is 100. I spoke slowly. "You owe me 2,000 taels, and I have banknotes worth 2,000 here. Win and the debt is fully cleared." Before I even finished, Bai Dahan nodded. He did the math. His son was not saved and he lost his cash. In total, down 4,000 taels. But if he won this round, today would just be a loss for his son. No, wait. His son was merely imprisoned. The beheading would not happen until the autumn trials, so there was still plenty of time to spend silver begging for mercy. Thinking like that, he felt confident. I spoke slowly, not so fast. "Win and you get 4,000 taels. But lose, and you hand over the entire Bai family silk shop, the deeds, plus all the silk stacked in the back warehouse. And as the old saying goes, even if the sky falls, you have to rely on a real stable business." I've been thinking for a while about starting a small shop here in Qingfeng County. I just haven't decided exactly what to do yet. I already have 2 wives plus 3 more joining us soon. And with that many women around the house, opening a silk shop just made perfect sense. The Bai family already owns a fully equipped silk shop right there. Winning it in a single round would honestly save me a ton of trouble. Bai Dashuan frowned. He just couldn't figure out why I'd actually risk that much money. Here in Qingfeng County, any family holding 4,000 taels could live in total luxury for generations without a single worry. The Yi family had been struggling for a long time. They even had to sell their ancestral home. Instead of using these 4,000 hard-earned taels to rebuild the family wealth, I was throwing every last coin right onto the table. Something felt off, like I was setting some kind of trap. But in the end, he just couldn't walk away from such a tempting offer. Backing down meant losing 4,000 taels for nothing. Plus, gambling with dice was his ultimate specialty. Even if I tried to cheat, he wasn't scared at all. After a long pause, he gritted his teeth. "Fine, I'll bet the silk shop against you. But before we play, we write a contract so you don't back out when you lose." I nodded, keeping Li as my witness. They drew up 2 contracts right there in the courtyard. Both sides signed and stamped their fingerprints. I also made Bai Dashuan write a separate note for 2,000 taels, then placed it on the table right next to the banknotes. If he wins this round, he is completely welcome to take it all. But if I win the entire Bai family silk shop, the property deeds and the warehouse full of fabric become mine. The guards quickly brought over 6 dice and 2 cups. "Yi Qingyun, are we betting on high or low? How exactly do you want to play this?" "Your call." Then we shake the dice together. Highest total in the cup wins. Bai Dashuan picked the absolute simplest way to play, then pointed at the 2 dice cups on the table. "You pick a cup first, so when you lose, you won't accuse me of cheating and taking the better one for myself." I calmly picked up 1 cup and 3 dice. Bai Dashuan grabbed the remaining set. With a quick flick of his right hand, he scooped the dice, shaking them vigorously right in front of the whole courtyard. He shook the cup with extreme precision, even bringing it close to his ear to listen. He wanted to hear and determine exactly which numbers would land. About 10 heartbeats later, he slammed the cup firmly on the table. I'm done, it's your turn now. We'll open them together shortly to see who rolled higher. Bai Jia stood right next to him, looking totally unbothered. She couldn't care less that her father just gambled her favorite silk shop. She wasn't worried at all because she knew exactly what her dad was capable of. I quickly glanced at Bai Dashuan's cup, then grabbed mine with my left hand. Tossed the 3 dice inside with my right, shook the cup a few times with obvious carelessness, then slammed it onto the table. Compared to Bai Dashuan's perfectly smooth performance, my sloppy shaking was an absolute joke, like a reckless toddler, trying to show off his writing skills to an old, seasoned scholar. Who was better? Everyone in the courtyard knew the answer, clear as day. Off to the side, Lord Xiao just silently shook his head, mourning my lost sanity. The outcome was totally obvious. I was completely doomed. The guards all thought the exact same thing. Only Li Wei stood completely still, like a stone statue. He was my man now, and deep down he knew one undeniable truth. His master never takes a bet he can't win. Bai Dashuan let out a smug laugh. Yet, Qingyan, I really don't get what you're trying to pull. Oh well, whatever. Today I'll open your eyes and show you how dice is really played. I rolled 3 sixes. No matter what you threw, you're never beating that. With those words practically oozing confidence, he lifted his dice cup. But the smug look on his face instantly froze. The 3 dice in his cup all landed on 1. Bai Dashuan just stood there paralyzed, muttering the exact same words over and over. Impossible. I definitely rolled 3 sixes. How did they turn into 3 ones? Bai Jia also froze right in her tracks. Lord Xiao was shocked at first, but then it suddenly clicked. The Yi family might be ruined, but this kid is on a serious winning streak lately. He must have stumbled into some massive stroke of luck. Otherwise, why would he dare gamble against Bai Dashuan today? I burst out laughing. Old man Bai, oh old man Bai, didn't you say you rolled 3 sixes? How did 3 ones show up then? You must have known the Yi family was struggling, so you deliberately found a clever way to just hand over the silk shop. You're honestly such a kind-hearted guy. Truth is, this round was rigged in my favor right from the start. The moment Bai Dashuan slammed his cup onto the table, I quietly pulled his 3 dice right into the spatial storage my system gave me. That space can pull in anything within a 6-meter radius of my body. I can even sense the objects just by thinking about them. The numbers inside the cup. I saw them perfectly clearly. His 3 dice were already sitting on 3 sixes. And without blinking an eye, I held onto those dice, then slipped them right back into their exact same spots. But now every single die had quietly flipped from a 6 to a 1. I lifted my own dice cup nice and slow. 5, 2, and 1. I turned toward Xiaowen beside me, a warm smile filling my eyes. 5, 2, 1 meaning I love you. Her face flushed a shy crimson in a split second. She never expected the young master to say something like that in front of all these strangers. Startled but completely thrilled, she replied in a soft, clear voice, young master, I love you too. Nearby, Xiao Xiaoqian stood watching the whole scene unfold, bitter jealousy written all over her face. She stole a quick glance at me, feeling a strange, unexplainable flutter deep in her chest. If she knew things would turn out like this, she would have just let Master Yi apply the medicine himself earlier. Maybe she could have chatted with him longer out in the courtyard. What a shame she played it so safe and let that precious opportunity slip right through her fingers. She let out a heavy, silent sigh. Today was already a lost cause. She would just have to hunt for another solid opening in the next few days. Meanwhile, Baidan collapsed onto the ground with a heavy thud. His absolute favorite, his eldest son, was sitting in prison facing execution. And now he just lost the Bai family's most valuable asset. Every last bit of it totally gone. Thousands of taels just vanished. His entire world was basically collapsing right now. I offered him a smile. Old Bai. It was just one round of dice. Why are you so devastated that you collapsed like that? My points beat yours, so from this moment on, that shop belongs to me. I casually snatched up the contract. Get up, you still owe me 2,000 taels. And as it happens, my schedule is totally wide open. I am going back with you to collect. Baidan scrambled to his feet, pointing straight at the table as he screamed, I bet those dice are completely rigged. I am a legendary gambler in this city. How could I possibly roll 3 ones? Yong Yun, you were way too weird today. Stepping up to bet 4,000 taels against me? You were obviously way too confident about winning. Those dice must be rigged. I shot my hand up and delivered a brutal ringing slap right across his face. You really just cannot handle losing, can you? You absolute scum, these dice were personally brought out by the magistrate's own men. Are you doubting me? Or accusing the magistrate of bending the law for personal gain to help me cheat? Lord Li Wei chimed in with dead serious authority. Baidan. Since you claim these dice are rigged, go ahead and explain. Rigged how? If you can prove they have been tampered with, I will personally pay you 5,000 taels. But if you fail, you have publicly slandered an imperial court official. And let me remind you, That crime is strictly punishable by beheading. Baidan went as pale as a ghost, slamming back down onto his knees with a heavy thud, my lord. I would never dare slander you. I just suspect Yong Yun used some kind of cheap trick. What kind of trick could I possibly use? Spit it out then. I glared at him furiously. Just because you are better at rolling dice, you instantly decided it was totally impossible for me to win. I shoved my finger right in his face and cursed Baidan. Who gave you the nerve to spout such absolutely shameless, blatant garbage? When gambling, both sides face the risk of winning or losing, right? What makes you think you are the only one allowed to win here? You are not some god of the heavens, you scum. Now get on your feet and inspect every single inch of these dice yourself. If there is a problem, take the cash and I will return the shop. But if they are perfectly clean, that means you just publicly slandered my reputation. So either pay me 1,000 taels or slice off your own tongue. Li Wei slammed the table hard. Get on your feet. Inspect them. Baidan was so terrified he shook uncontrollably. Dripping cold sweat, he clumsily staggered back onto his feet. First, he scooped up my 3 dice and shook them hard. 3 sixes. Then he grabbed his own 3 pieces and tossed them too. Still 3 sixes. It was painfully obvious that there was absolutely nothing wrong with the dice at all. Since the dice were completely fine, he was obviously slandering me. I pulled the dagger from Xiaowan's waist and tossed it onto the table with a loud metallic clatter. Go ahead, slice off your tongue. Baidan stumbled backward in absolute panic. I was wrong. It was slander. I beg you, spare me this time. I smirked. You actually think you were wrong. You are just terrified to cut off your own tongue. I'll pay up. 1,000 taels. Just please, don't cut off my tongue. Hands shaking violently, Baidan grabbed the brush. He wrote another IOU for 1,000 taels, then handed it over to me with completely pathetic submission. I chuckled lightly, accepting it without hesitation. But who could have predicted this? The second Baidan caught his breath, he stiffened up and started screaming all over again. Yong Yun, do you dare bet on one more round with me? Baidan had just lost his entire silk shop and had absolutely nothing left to his name. Yet here he was, dying for another round. I could not help but laugh internally. This old guy won't quit until he loses everything and drives himself into complete ruin. Why wouldn't I dare? Flashing a grin, I spread my hands. Set your stakes. I'll play this challenge out to the very end. I was just handing him another excuse to lose anyway. Baidan squinted. You Feng Yun. This whole county knows you've been hopelessly obsessed with my daughter since you were a little kid. Sure, the engagement is off, but look, she's standing right in front of you. Let's play one more round. I win. You give me back the silk shop. You win, I let you marry my daughter. Baijia. Baijia froze. She never imagined her own father would actually use her as a gambling chip. If he won, great, the family would get the shop back. But if he lost, she'd be dragged into marrying me. Honestly, I was looking a whole lot healthier than I did just a while ago. My net worth had already hit a few thousand taels. But Baijia would never accept me. Her heart belonged to someone else entirely. Wang Fugui, the young master whose family runs the Yichen brothel in town. In her eyes, the guy was perfect, holding a wine jug in one hand, a paper fan in the other. He recited poetry with effortless charm, completely stealing her heart and soul. Baijia shrieked in absolute panic. Dad, how could you use me as a bet? I absolutely refuse. I already love someone else. You can't just gamble away my entire future. Baidan shot her a furious glare. This is not up to you. Marriages are decided by parents and matchmakers. Your wedding is my choice alone. Stay out of it. Then he dropped his voice, trying to soothe her. Don't panic, my sweet girl. I only botched that first throw because I wasn't used to his cup and dice. I promise you, I'm absolutely going to win this next round. Turns out the idiot had actually convinced himself. Rolling 3 of a kind that first time, he thought it was just him mishandling the tools. He rattled the dice a few more times, entirely convinced he had his magic touch back. He figured as long as I kept playing, he was guaranteed a win. But Dad, what if you lose again? Before the words even left her mouth, Bai Dashuan's hand swung up, slapping her hard across the face. We haven't even started betting, and you're already cursing your own father. You don't deserve to be Bai Dashuan's daughter today. Whether you like it or not, I say you are the collateral, so you are the collateral. Bai Jia clutched her cheek and shot me a quick look. Her eyes swam with absolute panic over her father losing. Then she gritted her teeth. She had to carve out some kind of escape plan. Ye Feng, if you actually win today, fine. I'll marry you. But you have to pay a massive dowry. On top of that, I get to be the primary wife. Before she even finished her sentence, Xiao Wan lunged forward and slapped her right across the face. You scheming little fox, daydreaming in broad daylight. Xiao Wan jabbed a finger right at her nose and cursed. Sister Shuang is the young master's primary wife. I'm his second wife, and you? You aren't even fit to tie his damn shoes. I laughed from the sidelines. Xiao Wan is right. I looked back at the father and daughter. I see right through you two. What a pathetic comedy act. The dad tosses his kid as a chip, ready to shove her into my arms the second he loses. The daughter lives completely in the clouds, holding a destiny thin as paper, yet she still has the nerve to demand the primary wife spot. You two really thought you had this all figured out, but did either of you bother asking me what I want? I'm the guy holding the cards here. To hell with you both. Am I totally invisible to you? I locked eyes with Baijia and spoke slowly. Word by word, Baijia, forget about the massive dowry. Even if you asked for 0 copper coins and threw in 1,000 taels yourself, I'd still never marry you. As far as I'm concerned, you're filthier than the girls at Yichun brothel. Hearing that, Baijia got so furious her lungs nearly burst. She pointed at me, sputtering you. She just stood there for the longest time, completely unable to form a real sentence. Xiaowan sneered and jumped right in. You what? You aren't even as pretty as the girls working at Yichun brothel, you shameless wretch. And you still want to marry the young master? Wake up from that dream. I'm 10,000 times better than you. I can actually protect the young master. But what can you do? Plus, you practically reek of cheapness from head to toe. Baijia was trembling with rage. Her finger was still aimed at me, but she couldn't spit out a single word. Xiaowan raised a hand and smacked her arm hard. If you ever dare point that finger at my young master again, I'll chop the whole arm off. Want to bet I won't do it? Baijia stumbled backward in pure terror. She knew Xiaowan was completely insane. Piss off a crazy woman like her and Xiaowan would chop that arm clean off without a second thought. Bai Dan furrowed his brows. Still refusing to give up, he pushed again. Feng Yun. Weren't you absolutely crazy about my daughter before? Don't worry. If you win, I'll let you marry her without asking for a single copper coin in return. I just gave him a freezing sneer. I already told you. Even if the Bai family offered her up with a pile of cash, I'm never marrying her. Because as far as I know, your precious daughter runs off to the Yichun brothel in town almost every other day. What kind of decent girl goes there? With her reputation, I bet no guy in all of Qinghong County would ever dare to be seen with her. The words barely left my mouth before a cop in the crowd suddenly threw his arm up. He claimed he would take Miss Baya if she wanted. The whole courtroom stared at him, and the officer immediately dropped his head in absolute embarrassment. By this time, Baya had recovered enough to frantically start defending herself. She admitted she went to the backyard of Yichuyan house alone, but only to look for someone. She definitely wasn't there for any kind of dirty business. I burst out laughing, and the whole crowd of cops joined in right along with me. Even Mr. Xiao covered his mouth and chuckled quietly. An unmarried girl sneaks into a brothel, then boldly claims she wasn't doing anything shameful and was only there to find someone. Even ghosts wouldn't buy that garbage. I sneered, but sure, I actually believe you. My guess is your mom cooked a really nice meal at home, so she rushed you over to Yichuan house to drag your dad back for dinner. Those words made the courtroom full of cops erupt into even louder hysterical laughter. Baya's face darkened with absolute rage. Still, she didn't dare speak up because she caught Xiao Wuan giving her a vicious death glare. Seeing things go from bad to worse, Dawson scrambled to change the subject. Yong Yun, I recently bought 2 properties in the South District Garden Pavilions. Water features, completely furnished and totally ready to go. I will bet both those properties against you. If you win, the deeds and land for both estates, plus everything inside them, are entirely yours. But if you lose, you return the silk shop to me, and I will wipe out your previous 4,000 tael debt. Well, do you dare to bet? I smiled and reminded him, just set your terms, and I will play this game to the bitter end. Luckily, I was already planning to move back to the county town as soon as possible. My only worry was not having a place to live. But by bringing this up, Dawson was delivering 2 ready-made houses straight to my front door. How could I refuse? Dawson nodded, then turned and gestured at Baya daughter. Come over here for a second. Go home and grab the deeds for those South District properties. Then, walking toward the courtroom entrance, he suddenly dropped his voice down to a whisper. I hid those deeds over there. After walking about a dozen steps, his voice went even quieter than before. Daughter, go straight to Yichian house and find Manager Wang. Tell him our family is fully ready to submit, and ask him to personally intervene to get your brother out of this jail. Once it is done, I will give him those 2 South District estates. The second you leave Yichuan house, do not go straight home. Head directly to the silk shop. Have the staff rush all the warehouse silk straight over to Manager Wang without a single delay. It would be even better if Manager Wang sent extra muscle to help move it. That empty storefront on its own was practically worthless anyway. The family's real fortune was the 3,000 taels of silk sitting in that warehouse. Dawson only dared to keep gambling with me because he was running a two-faced scheme. If I lost, he'd score a massive profit. If I won, claiming those South District estates meant I would first have to cross swords with Manager Wang from Yichuan house. Everyone in the county knew Wang Yukai from Yichuan House, only dared to run such a massive operation because he had a very powerful backer standing right in his corner. Rumor had it this person lived in the capital itself. Meanwhile, Baya looked incredibly anxious and muttered a few faint words under her breath. Dad, if we actually do this, aren't we making Yong Yun a direct enemy? And his vicious servant Xia Wuwan. That guy is not someone to mess with, but Dasan cut her off sharply. Manager Wang has skilled professional fighters on his side too. We are allying with him specifically to borrow his power and completely destroy Yong Yun. Today that little brat didn't just beat me, he dared to slap my face in public. That is a grudge I will settle with absolute ruthlessness. My mind is fully made up, so go do it right now. Baya nodded, then deliberately raised her voice. Dad, I will go home and grab those property deeds now. I wish you endless victories moving forward. Dawson waved goodbye to her with a huge smile. He was totally convinced that their little whispered father-daughter chat was so quiet. The crowd over 10 meters away could never possibly hear a thing. But he had absolutely no idea I had taken the marrow-cleansing pill from the system. My hearing was way sharper than any normal guy's. I heard every single part of their little secret chat, clear as day right there. Didn't miss a single word. If there is one thing I absolutely cannot stand, it's someone breaking their promise. Before the bet, everything was agreed upon clearly and completely. If I won the silk shop, along with all the fabric in the warehouse, belonged to me. Yet here he was, turning right around to rush his daughter off to secretly smuggle those goods away. A two-faced, scheming snake like this guy truly deserves to be smacked down hard and without mercy. On top of that, the old man was actually planning to bring in Manager Wang from Yichuan House to deal with me. He was basically just asking to die. I kept my expression completely blank and smiled. Same terms as before. Let us draft the contract first. Bai Dashan agreed instantly. Li Wei had his men bring brush, ink, and paper, and we both began writing out the terms. If Bai Dashan lost the deeds for the 2 South District mansions, and everything inside them went right to me. And if I lost, I returned the silk shop I just won, plus the entire 4,000 tael note. After finishing, both sides signed and left their thumbprints. I asked old Bai, does the highest score win this round too? Bai Dashan shook his head. Not this time. We flipped the rules completely. The lowest score is the winner. Everyone in the county knows Bai Dashan loves rolling 3 6s, but very few realize that rolling 3 1s is just as easy for him. And beyond all that, he was still hiding an even more mind-blowing trick up his sleeve. Today he meant to show it off and stun everyone in the court. Fine, lowest wins. I waved my hand. We have 2 cups and 6 dice right here. Choose whichever you want. Just do not backpedal after losing. No trying to claim I am just a kid bullying you. You senile old fool. Bai Dashan looked totally confused and asked Yifengyun, what is a senile fool? I explained with a smile. An old man who still cannot keep his word. Seeing the sharp look in my eyes, Bai Dashan felt his heart skip a beat. A nagging suspicion crept into his mind. That quiet chat between father and daughter earlier. Maybe this brat heard every single word. But after deep thought, he reassured himself and finally relaxed. If I actually heard him, I would have sent Xiao Wan to stop them long ago. Otherwise, why let Bai Jiaxi walk right out of court so easily? Satisfied with this logic, he casually picked up a cup and 3 dice. They were just inspected anyway, and both sets were completely identical. He suddenly tossed the 3 dice into the air, then caught them with absolute mastery inside his cup. With the whole court watching, he raised the cup to his ear and started shaking it with extreme care. This time his movements held unprecedented focus and serious precision. He kept shaking the cup for about the time an incense stick takes to burn, before finally slamming it down firmly. The truth is, right when that cup hit the wood, my mind had already read all the numbers inside. In one smooth motion, I pulled a die into my storage space, flipped it, and sent it right back into place. Pulling things in and out of that space with a thought was faster than light and utterly impossible for anyone to detect. Bai Dashan shouted the moment his cup settled. I will shock you all with an unforgettable sight. Watch how 3 dice can be shaken to score a total of just 1 point. In that whole court, besides me, not a single soul actually believed him. One guard mocked him instantly. Old Bai, 3 dice means 3 points at the very least. How will you shake them to get 1 point? Getting 3 takes 0 skill. Bai Dashan let out a low chuckle. When I, Bai Dashan, play dice, I get whatever number I want. Today you will all witness the masterstroke I perfected my entire life, turning 3 dice into a single point. With those incredibly confident words, he flipped the cup open for everyone to see. He did not even bother looking at the numbers, just put hands on his hips and cheered. Well, are you convinced now? I said. I would roll 3 dice for 1 point, and nobody believed me. I stacked all 3 dice into a single tower. This is the greatest move of my entire life. You will never find another soul in Qingyun County who can actually pull it off. I interrupted him with a smile from the sidelines. Old Bai, Maybe you should look at those numbers first, then decide if you want to keep bragging. Bai Dashan lowered his head and looked at the table. The 3 dice really were stacked in a neat, perfect tower, but the top die was not showing a 1, it was a 6. He clutched his chest, gasping like a dying man. How could it be a 6? I rolled a 1 for sure. He muttered this to himself, stumbling backward a few steps. His whole body was trembling. His legs gave out and he collapsed to the floor with a thud. Why a 6? I absolutely rolled a 1. He raised his right hand and violently slapped his own face. Since I was a little boy, my father told me stay away from gambling. Never gamble. Gambling will destroy the whole family and leave us homeless. Why did I ignore the elders? What possessed me to gamble today? He kept slapping his own mouth, wailing loudly. Dear God, give me one more chance. I swear I will never go near gambling again. Squire Xiao rushed over to help him up. Old Bai, what the hell are you doing? Stand up. Yong Yun has not even rolled yet. If his total turns out to be higher than 6, would you not still be the winner? Hearing this, Bai Dashan jumped straight off the floor. That is completely right. I have not taken my turn yet. If my roll beats 6, he still wins in the end. I picked up the cup and slowly dropped the 3 dice inside, then gave it a few random careless shakes, and slammed it hard on the table. With a flash of thought, I pulled the dice inside into my storage space, then instantly sent them back. Then I opened the cup for everyone to see. A 1, a 2, just 5 points against his 6, exactly 1 point less. And just like that, by an insanely slim margin, I completely crushed Bai Dasan again. Using my perception earlier, I saw the old guy had actually rolled 3 real ones. If the system storage hadn't let me pull the dice and change their faces this round, I honestly never would have beaten him. Seeing my 5 made Bai Dasan's chest heave violently. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead as he spat out another mouthful of dark blood. He lost in less time than an incense stick takes to burn. 2 rounds of dice cost him 2 properties and a silk shop. Everything vanished into thin air. Plus, he still owes me 4,000 taels. He is completely finished. 2 rounds, and an entire family fortune gambled away. Master Xiao let out a heavy sigh and spoke up. Old Bai, you could have easily won today. What ruined things was your desperate need to show off your dice skills. Take that last round, for instance. If you hadn't tried getting smart by stacking those 3 dice into a tower, you probably would have rolled 3 clean ones. That absolutely would have guaranteed your victory. Bai Dasan suddenly burst into manic laughter. Master Xiao actually jumped in sheer terror, Old Bai crying 1 minute and laughing the next. Have you completely lost your mind? Bai Dasan flashed a wide grin and asked, do you think you won? Not even close. The real show is just starting. I laughed too. Do you think finding a backer means you can dodge all this? Not happening. The real show just started on my side too. I snatched up Bai Dasan's contract and waved. Xiaowan, let us go take over that silk shop. Leading Xiaowan out of the courtroom, I quietly slipped a message to Li Wei. He needed to grab some guards and secretly tail us from a safe distance. Meanwhile, over in the backyard of Yichun Manor within the county town, a servant had just announced her arrival. Bai finally stood face to face with Manager Wang from Yichun Manor. Wang Yukai wore a green robe and antique white jade pendant hanging right at his waist. You are telling me your father wants to submit? Bai simply nodded. That is right. My dad is ready to hand over the 2 South Wing properties, along with all the fabrics in our Bai family silk shop. Wang Yu smiled faintly and replied, from what I know, your father values silver far more than his own life. What got into him today? Why this sudden urge to submit? And so Bai laid out the entire story. Uncle Wang, I will be totally honest. Yesterday my older brother paid to hire someone to assassinate Yong Yun, but the whole thing failed. The authorities caught the guy instead. Now he is sentenced to beheading right after the autumn trials. My dad went to the courtroom to save him. He completely failed and even ended up taking 20 cane strikes himself. Later on, Ye Hongyun pulled out a bottle of healing powder and demanded 3,000 taels for it. That medicine was an absolute miracle. A severely beaten back. 1 smear and the wound healed instantly. But my dad only applied it to one side. After that, my dad played dice with Ye Hongyun. He could have rolled 3 sixes, but he somehow slipped up and rolled 3 ones. Just like that, he lost the silk shop. Uncle Wang, my dad sincerely wants to submit to you entirely. We just beg you to give the Bai family a lifeline and save my older brother from execution. Hearing all of this, Wang Yuchai furrowed his brow deeply and pressed her with more questions. You are telling me Ye Hongyun brought out healing powder for 3,000 taels, and the wound perfectly healed the second it was applied? Bai answered yes, a back beaten until the skin split. The second the medicine touched it, the bleeding stopped and healing began before an incense stick could even burn. Wang Yukai frowned slightly. Meanwhile, his right knuckles lightly drummed against the tea table. He quietly studied Bai for a moment, deciding that this girl would never dare try to trick him with lies. Finally, he spoke up slowly. All right, I can offer protection for your Bai family. and even get your older brother out of prison. However, moving forward, I am taking 80% of every single copper coin the Bai family earns. Bai internally cursed at him 80% in one go. You old man, why not just take everything? But she only dared to complain quietly in her own head. None of that showed on her face. Instead, she simply replied, Uncle Wang, I have to go back and discuss this with my dad. No need to discuss anything. Wang Yukai waved it off. Your dad will definitely agree. Then, he shouted toward the door. Xiao Han. Hearing the call, a huge middle-aged man stepped inside, casually holding a long sword in his arms. Sir, what are your orders? Grab some men and 2 carts. Go with Miss Bai to collect her family's silk. Also, make sure you bring back the property deeds for those 2 South Wing estates while you are there. Wang Yukai paused for a second. And if you run into Yong Yun, tell him to come see me. The swordsman named Xiao Han bowed and accepted the order. Yes, sir. Right after that, Xiao Han and Bai left Yichun Manor with 12 men and 2 heavy carts. They headed straight for the Bai family's silk shop. At that exact moment, Xiao Wan and I were chilling in the tea house right across the street, casually sipping tea. Barely an incense stick later, 2 carriages rolled dead stop right out front. I set my teacup down. Xiao Wan, I bet it has been way too long since your last real fight. She shook her head. Young master, I am so bored lately. My hands are practically itching for a real brawl. I just laughed. Well, if you are itching for it, go have some fun out there. Just rough them up. Nobody dies. I knew this girl hit incredibly hard. Giving her a firm warning beforehand was absolutely necessary. Xiao Wan immediately nodded in obedience. Meanwhile, Bai Jiao led the swordsman Xiao Han straight to the storage room behind the silk shop. Right alongside the shop's own workers, over a dozen people started dragging out silk and fabrics toward the carriages, waiting by the door. Old Master Xiao also came rushing over, leaning heavily on Bai Da-san, but entirely just to enjoy the show. He wanted to see if I actually had the guts to show up and claim this shop as my own. But when they reached the storefront, I was absolutely nowhere to be found. Old Master Xiao was still looking around when he suddenly spotted Xiao Wan and me strolling out of the cafe across the street. Right in broad daylight while my silk shop was being looted. Who gave you the nerve? I ordered quietly. Xiao Wan, crush these thieves and drag them straight to the magistrate. The second I spoke, Xiao Wan shot forward like an arrow right toward the carriages. A few blindingly fast punches and kicks. In the blink of an eye, she dropped all 6 workers. Every single guy loading the goods. Old Master Xiao leaned in and dropped his voice. Brother Yi, you better watch your back. Some of those guys moving the silk work for Manager Wang from the Spring Pavilion. This Wang Yu Cai guy just arrived from the capital. He is incredibly well connected. Even my son-in-law Li Wei dare not cross him. I clasped my hands in thanks. Old Xiao, I seriously appreciate the warning. I do not go looking for trouble, but if someone brings it to my doorstep, forget some brothel manager. Even if the King of Heaven himself showed up, I would make him bleed. Right as I spoke, a scream echoed from inside the shop. The swordsman Xiao Han stormed out, a few thugs right on his heels. Bai Da-san rushed forward to meet him. That is Ye Yun. He ordered his maid to attack them. Xiao Han did not even glance at him. He locked eyes on Xiao Wan, then turned and shot me a deadly glare before speaking. Mr. Yi, did you order your maid to hurt them? I just nodded with a smile. That is right. Xiao Han lowered his heavy voice. Mr. Yi, I can hide this from my master as a favor today. But every roll of silk inside I am taking with me right now. One more thing. My master gave the order. You need to go see him immediately. He barely finished before Xiao Wan threw her hand up, pointing at him and letting loose a string of curses. Your master's is absolute trash. Who is he to order my young master around? My young master meets whoever he chooses, but random nobodies do not get to see him. You are begging for death. Xiao Han exploded with anger, quickly signaling the men beside him. Kill her. 10 thugs instantly surged forward as one rushing straight at Xiao Wan. She just let out a muffled little laugh. All right, let us see who kills who today. With those words, she charged straight at them. I stood nearby, not worried in the slightest. With Xiao Wan's fighting skills, those 10 thugs would never even land a finger on her. Xiao Han furrowed his brow. He watched helplessly as his 10 men dropped one by one, none of them surviving a single move. She was obviously holding back. Every punch she threw used barely a third of her actual strength. Even so, those men were sent flying backward, blood pouring heavily from their noses and mouths. Xiao Han yanked a bamboo whistle from his shirt, threw his head back and blew a long, piercing note that echoed in every single direction. With a sharp ring, he drew his blade. Exactly like me. Nothing but someone else's dog. Today I want to see your real power. Xiao Wan turned to him, cold killing intent filling her eyes. Young master, can I kill him? I chuckled. Xiao Wan, sometimes beating a person until they are nothing but a broken wreck, leaving them begging for death while trapped in agony. That is the real fun. Xiao Wan understood perfectly. Smiling widely, she turned to Xiao Han. You mangy dog, you think you can fight me today? I will beat you half to death. She barely finished the sentence before launching right at him, moving with blinding speed. Mid-dash, her right hand was already channeling internal energy, throwing an explosive punch directly at him. Xiao Han had absolutely zero time to dodge. All he could do was throw his blade flat across his chest, praying it would block the strike. Clang! A sharp ring echoed out, and Xiao Han's sword snapped cleanly in two against Xiao Wan's devastating fist. And yet her fist did not slow down at all, smashing straight forward. Arg! Xiao Han screamed, flying backward like a kite with a snapped string. Blood sprayed the air before he slammed into the silk shop's steps. Then he coughed up another mouthful, completely soaking the ground in red. His face twisted in agony. Xiao Han stared in absolute shock at his sword shattered right in half. This sword was a precious family heirloom. A black iron blade at his side for 30 years. Countless men had met their end beneath this very steel. Ordinary swords usually shattered just by touching it. But today this priceless weapon broke in two from a single punch by some little girl. His mind simply could not process it. Where did she get such terrifying strength? Before he could even react, he saw Xiao Wan stepping toward him. That smile on her face sent chills straight down his spine. Xiao Han turned pale, screaming at her to back off. His master was coming from the capital. He had powerful backers she could never cross. But Xiao Wan just kept walking. I already blew the distress whistle. My master will be here any second. Kill me, and you and your young master will be buried right beside me. Xiao Wan scoffed, "You mangy dog, 1 foot in the grave, and you still dare threaten my young master." Saying that, she kicked him hard, dropping him face first onto the dirt. Then she clenched her right fist, aimed straight for his 6th vertebra, and delivered a crushing blow. Smash! Everyone present clearly heard the sound of bone shattering. Xiao Han let out another bone-chilling shriek, then suddenly realized his pants were wet. He cried out hoarsely over his numb legs, wailing that his lower half was dead. Plenty of people in the crowd had heard about Xiao Wan's combat skills, but those were just rumors. Today was the very first time they witnessed her absolute ruthlessness, firsthand. One tiny girl single-handedly took down 17 grown men. She left them battered, paralyzing their boss with just one punch. The men on the ground howled pitifully while onlookers enjoyed the spectacle. People whispered they hadn't seen a show this big in ages. The last similar event was the Yi family's eldest son's wedding. It never actually finished. 2 people died back to back, turning that joyous occasion into a tragic funeral, right before everyone's eyes. Back then the crowds were packed 3 layers deep too. Xiao Wan laughed and looked down, asking why his screaming was hurting her ears. "So your legs are numb, but don't you still have 2 hands?" Xiao Han tested his arms. He could lift them and grip things. His lower half was dead and totally numb, but at least his hands were fine. For just a split second, he actually thought she made some sense. But on second thought, he started viciously cursing her from head to toe in his mind. "You crazy witch. Talk is cheap when your back is fine. Every single wound here is your fault, you filthy scum. Just you wait. The second my master arrives, he will hack you to pieces." Xiao Wan watched him grind his teeth, eyes overflowing with hatred. Then, smiling sweetly, she asked if he was secretly cursing her. Frantically, Xiao Han shook his head. "How would I dare curse you?" She replied, "If you aren't cursing me, why are you grinding your teeth like that? I am just in pain." Xiao Wan shook her head. "You are lying. I gave you those wounds. I know them well. Your lower half went numb ages ago. You feel no pain. Grinding your teeth means you are cursing me in your head. I guess you don't need these hands." The words barely left her mouth before she landed a heavy kick squarely on Xiao Han's left elbow. Crack! The crowd heard another bone snap, and before he could even scream, Xiao Wan's second kick followed, landing directly on his right hand this time. Xiao Han collapsed to the dirt in unimaginable agony. Right then, only one thought remained in his mind. "Master, hurry. Bring a famous capital doctor to heal my broken arms and paralyzed lower half." The crowd watched intently, so thrilling. Things were getting more and more exciting. 2 onlookers were absolutely terrified, losing their minds completely. Baidan and Baijia. Watching all those unconscious men on the ground, the father and daughter froze in fear. Their limbs turned to ice, teeth chattering in pure terror. Baijia asked in a weak, crying voice, "Dad, what do we do now? If Yong Yun actually dares to beat Manager Wang's men, he'll definitely hit us too." She was terrified Xiao Wan would just casually paralyze her. "This is all your fault. You lost the bet and should have just admitted it. Why force me to hand this silk to Manager Wang anyway?" Spoiled since childhood, Baijia broke down crying. In all her years of life, she had never felt this much terror even once. Baidan opened his mouth but could not utter a single word. Right now, his heart was pounding wildly from sheer panic. That wound on his back hadn't even healed. Imagine the sheer pain of another hit. I walked smiling toward the father and daughter, asking, "Don't you two owe me an explanation?" Baidasans and Baijia stood there completely speechless. If they claimed to not know Xiao Han or why those men raided the shop, Manager Wang would absolutely be furious. But admitting they personally brought Xiao Han to gift the silk to Manager Wang meant openly disrespecting and challenging me. Right now, Bai Dasan was tearing himself apart with regret. If he knew it would escalate like this, he never would have bailed his son out of the yamen. Then he wouldn't have lost his entire fortune, and he wouldn't have ended up pissing off both me and Manager Wang at once. During this critical standoff, Magistrate Li Wei arrived with his guards. Pushing through the crowd, he loudly demanded to know what was happening and why everyone was gathered. Seeing the magistrate, Bai Dasan rushed forward. He said the honorable magistrate arrived right on time. All these men on the ground were beaten by Yong Yun's maid on his orders. He added that this had absolutely nothing to do with the Bai family, begging the magistrate for justice. Li Wei turned to me, demanding to know why I ordered my maid to beat these men. But Xiao Wan jumped in first. She assured the honorable magistrate she acted entirely alone. Her young master was completely uninvolved. I patted her shoulder, giving a faint smile to show she had nothing to fear. Then I started talking. I told the magistrate that after Xiaowan and I left the yamen, we came to claim the Bai family's silk shop. We barely reached the door before running into a gang forcefully raiding the place. They had stolen silk loaded onto carts, ready to haul it all away. The Great Xin Dynasty laws are clear. In broad daylight, these men were robbing my personal property. I shouted at them to stop, but they turned on me like a pack of angry demons, charging forward with clear intent to attack. Facing that kind of threat, I had no choice but to let Xiaowan act in self-defense. Li Wei nodded. He turned to the groaning thugs on the ground and asked who ordered the robbery. One of them quickly protested. He claimed they never stole anything, they just came to move the silk. Li Wei furiously yelled at his sheer audacity. He asked what right they had to move someone else's property. He ordered them to name their boss, or get publicly whipped right in the street. The thugs all turned in perfect unison to look at Xiao Han lying on the ground. Li Wei marched over to him immediately. He asked why he brought these men to rob the place. But Xiao Han forced himself to argue back, insisting they hadn't stolen anything. He added that Bai Jia brought them. Li Wei looked at the girl and started putting the pieces together. Her father lost the shop and couldn't accept it, so he secretly sent her with these men to empty the silk warehouse, trying to minimize his massive losses. This was nothing short of armed robbery in broad daylight. Under our dynasty's laws, robbing someone publicly and attempting to assault the rightful owner is a crime punishable by death. Bai Jia collapsed to her knees. She screamed, begging the magistrate, swearing she never meant to steal from anyone. Her father forced her into all of this. She explained he ordered her to find Manager Wang and offer all the shop's silk as a pure gift. He even promised to throw the 2 southern city mansions into the deal. In one single breath, she exposed every little secret her father had confided in her earlier. Standing on the sidelines, Bai Dasan was visibly trembling with sheer rage. This was his own flesh and blood. Just to save herself, she knelt in the street and threw her father under the bus without hesitation. Right then, he deeply wished he had never fathered this girl. He wished he had drowned her in the outhouse the day she was born. Li Wei turned back and ordered his guards to drag every single prisoner to the county yamen. But Xiao Han shouted from the dirt, telling Magistrate Li to think twice. He warned that his master came from the capital, and the man backing him was someone the magistrate couldn't afford to provoke. He suggested it would be best to escort him back to the Spring Pavilion right this second. He threatened severe consequences. Li Wei sharply replied, and then Xiao Han flashed a cold, mocking smile while gritting his teeth through the pain. He promised Magistrate Li that if he actually dragged him to the yamen, his master would make sure his days as a magistrate were numbered. Magistrate Li Wei flared up like he had been struck hard. Pointing at Xiao Han on the ground, he snarled. He called him thieving scum for robbing in broad daylight before this entire crowd. He scolded him for daring to threaten a court official. He swore that if he didn't punish him today, his service as this county's magistrate meant absolutely nothing. Angrily flicking his sleeve, he ordered the guards to cane this thief 30 times first. Let him remember that stealing earns a brutal beating. 2 guards immediately stepped up to the firm order. They skillfully flipped Xiao Han over, pinning him face down against the dirt. A guard stood on each side, raising their thick wooden canes high before raining down powerful consecutive strikes without a shred of mercy. Over a dozen rapid blows crashed down until Xiao Han's back was torn open and bleeding heavily. Yet somehow the man never made a single sound. To the 2 guards delivering the beating, his complete silence was an absolute insult. Hitting a guy who won't even groan makes them look completely weak. So the 2 men immediately threw everything they had into the beating. Each blow landed harder than the last. But Xiao Han gritted his teeth and held on stubbornly, refusing to scream. Watching from the sidelines, I knew exactly what was happening. I just couldn't help offering some friendly advice with a smile. Hey, you two. This guy uses some bizarre kung fu. Strike his lower half and he will never feel a thing. Why not try focusing on his upper body instead? The two officers heard this and realized so that is the trick he is using. They traded a look and raised their clubs. A crushing blow slammed hard into Xiao Han's shoulder blade. Finally, Xiao Han couldn't hold it back this time. A terrifying blood-curdling scream ripped out of his lungs. Feeling triumphant, the two guards sped up, raining down strike after strike. Then they stopped. A furious roar boomed from behind the crowd. Who gave you the nerve to beat my man? The man who just arrived was none other than Wang Yukai, the manager of the Spring Pavilion. 7 middle-aged guys in matching black cloaks followed. Close behind him. They looked quiet and lean, but their eyes were sharp as knives. They carried the calm confidence of men holding all the winning cards. I knew right then and there these 7 men were absolutely no joke. They were all elite fighters. But I didn't even flinch. Xiao Wan was standing right next to me. Plus, I have a body that no blade or spear could ever pierce. And tucked against my chest is something no one in this world has ever laid eyes on. Liu pointed at the half-dead Xiao Han and asked Wang Yukai, "Is this your man?" Wang Yukai gave a nod. "Yes, he belongs to me." "What gave you the right to beat him like this?" "He is just a thief," Liu said heavily. "He led a crew to rob Yong Yun's silk shop right in the street in broad daylight. When Yong Yun intervened, he refused to listen, ordering his thugs to beat him brutally in the street. As county magistrate, I must punish such brazen thieves severely." Then his tone shifted, and he locked a sharp glare onto Wang Yukai. "This thief is your man. Did he rob the shop under your direct orders? Or did that order come from whoever sits above you?" Wang Yu narrowed his eyes. "Magistrate Liu, I strongly advise you not to throw around baseless accusations. I am just a simple merchant. My business in Qingyun County has always run strictly by the book. Why would I ever order my men to rob people out in the open street in broad daylight?" He never expected Liu to publicly humiliate him like this, showing absolutely zero mercy. It honestly left him wondering. He had dealt with Liu several times before. The guy was always evasive and played the perfect diplomat. Fully aware of who was backing him, Liu was always polite and never pushed back. But today, Liu seemed like a totally different person. He refused to let Wang save face, actively tried pinning the robbery on him, and even traced it back to his boss. To have that kind of nerve, this magistrate must be completely sick of keeping his job. Liu kept pushing relentlessly. "Manager Wang, your man just announced to everyone that you come from the capital with powerful connections. He claimed nobody here would ever have the guts to cross you. He demanded I release him and respectfully escort him back to the Spring Pavilion. He led a crew to rob a store and beat the owner. And when I gave clear orders to arrest him, he practically turned around and threatened me. I am the court official here. Manager Wang, you tell me without someone powerful backing him up, would he really dare to act this arrogant?" Wang Yu's brow twitched in fury. If the whole street wasn't watching, he would have ordered his 7 men to execute Liu right then and there. But he didn't take the bait. Instead, he turned toward Xiao Han with a cold, stern expression. "I have told you over and over that we are law-abiding merchants. What got into you today? Why did you lead men to rob someone's silk shop? Did somebody put you up to this, or did you act on your own?" Xiao Han understood exactly what his boss was doing. He turned right toward Baya and said it was this woman. She came to the Spring Pavilion today and begged me to help her move all the silk out of the shop. Baya waved her hands frantically. "I did not go to the Spring Pavilion looking for you. I went looking for." Before she could even finish, Basan slapped her hard across the face. "The store already belonged to Yong Yun anyway. No matter how much you want that silk, you have zero right to move it yourself. Get on your knees right now and beg Yong Yun to forgive you." That brutal slap left Baya completely stunned. But she instantly realized her father was trying to minimize the damage, making sure no blame fell on Manager Wang. The Bai family was already on the brink of total ruin. From now on, they needed to rely on him entirely. Once that clicked, she changed her story in a heartbeat. "Look, I admit I messed up. I'm just crazy about that silk. Lost my mind for a second, and that's exactly why I tried taking it home." Li Wei sneered at him. "That story doesn't match your confession from a minute ago. Drag them all back to the yamen. We'll uncover the truth soon enough." Right then, Wang Yukai suddenly dropped to his knees beside Xiao Han. He grabbed his totally shattered hand and spoke in a dead serious tone. "You're my man, yes, but you committed a very public crime today. You need to take full responsibility for your actions. But rest easy, I'll do everything to get you through this mess. Even if you end up locked away, I'll take care of your family for you." The second he said family, Wang Yukai gave his hand a slight squeeze and quietly slipped a tiny pill into his palm. The instant his fingers brushed the pill, Xiao Han went completely pale, the color of a corpse. He understood the message loud and clear. Ever since he decided to follow Wang Yukai, he always knew his ending would never be a peaceful one. He let out a heavy sigh, then raised his voice. "I completely wronged Miss Bai earlier. I just wanted to frame her for the theft and save myself. Manager Wang's advice is burned into my heart. This entire disaster was my own doing. I committed the crime and I alone deserved to die. The moment he finished speaking, Xiao Han fought through the agonizing pain in his shattered hands. He tossed the pill straight into his mouth and swallowed it right in front of the whole street. I was so completely wrong. I never should have led my guys to loot someone else's shop. I acted alone, and nobody else was involved. Before he could even finish the sentence, blood started pouring from all 7 openings on his face. Struggling hard, he turned his heavy head to look right at Wang Yukai, giving him a faint nod. A strange smile crept across his face, and his rigid body collapsed to the dirt. Standing nearby, I watched the whole thing unfold with my own 2 eyes. That poison pill came straight from Wang Yukai's hand, and the hidden threat in his final words was painfully obvious to anyone with half a brain. But not a single person in that crowd dared to call him out. Why? Because Wang Yukai is no ordinary guy and everyone just showed up for the entertainment. Nobody wants to bring trouble on themselves. As for why I didn't step in earlier, the answer is pretty simple. Xiao Han living or dying means absolutely nothing to me. And right at this exact moment, the whole picture became crystal clear. All this drama today was just Dan trying to use Manager Wang's influence to make a move on me. As for who is actually backing Wang Yukai, I still have no clue. I didn't feel a single ounce of worry. Even if his backer is some high-ranking noble, and even if they actually come looking for trouble, I'll just gift him a bullet from the system. Let him discover how firearms taste in an era of swords and spears. As for Wang Yukai, the exact second Xiao Han stopped breathing, his entire expression and attitude completely flipped. He clasped his hands respectfully toward Li Wei. Magistrate Li, my guy committed a terrible crime today. The blame falls entirely on me for failing to discipline him. Allow me to apologize first. He turned to the crowd and took a deep bow, robbing a store right out in the open during broad daylight. That is a massive blow to public order. It is my own failure, Wang Yukai, for not keeping my subordinates fully under control. I ended up terrifying all of you. So here's how I'll make up for it. Starting today for 7 straight days, every single guest who comes to relax at my spring pavilion gets a jug of premium wine and 2 side dishes completely free on the house. Better yet, pay for 1 girl to keep you company, and you get a second one completely free. The second those words dropped, the crowd totally erupted. Free booze, free food, and a free girl on top of it. Basically 2 guys going out to party, but only one has to pay. A deal this crazy? You'd drag your dad, your brothers, and all your drinking buddies out there just to show some serious support. Right on cue, someone instantly spoke up with a massive kissing-up smile. Manager Wang, there's absolutely no need to apologize. Sometimes it really is tough to keep the underlings under control. You did everything you could, and since he poisoned himself to pay for his sins, well, he got what he deserved. Exactly, Manager Wang. This whole mess has nothing to do with you. That idiot brought it on himself. One guy started sucking up, and soon others chimed right in. Wang Yukai just smiled, tossing polite compliments back at the crowd. He honestly looked like the living proof that playing nice brings in serious wealth. I scoffed to myself. Disguise bribes, plain and simple. Hand out enough free perks, and this entire crowd suddenly becomes your star witnesses. The robbery leader just killed himself to dodge a brutal punishment, meaning this entire disaster is completely unrelated to anyone else. He was practically forcing Li Wei to close the case file right then and there. If Li Wei dared to investigate deeper, that secret backer would definitely escalate things to the prefecture, just to crush him with pressure. Plus, with this massive crowd ready to testify for him, his side of the story looked totally flawless. Brilliant plan, honestly. Too bad he ran into me. Immediately after, Li Wei ordered the guards to drag the thugs off the dirt and haul them back to the yamen. As for the father and daughter from the Bai family, they got lucky and avoided arrest. Not because Li Wei felt sorry for them, I just purposely kept them behind. I needed them to go home quietly, obediently handing over the deeds to the silk shop and those southern city twin mansions. Right then, Wang Yukai stepped up to me, kept his pace calm. Mr. Yi, could we speak in private? How about you drop by my spring pavilion to rest and actually enjoy yourself? Before I could even nod, Xiaowan cut us off. The young master will never visit a place like that. My jaw actually dropped because honestly I fully planned on going. I actually had a few things to hammer out with this Wang Yukai guy. Strictly business, for the record. Not exactly a fun hangout. Wang Yukai gave this faint smile and gestured to the side. Then how about we head over to the tea house and grab a cup together? But Xiaowan shut that down too. The young master does not drink tea and he has actual work to handle. She was just making up excuses out loud. But her eyes were completely locked on the 7 men in black robes behind Wang Yukai. Wang Yukai raised an eyebrow. Mr. Yi, who exactly is the master here, and who is the servant? I just smiled. Xiaowan is my wife, so there is no master and servant dynamic between us. Hearing that instantly melted her heart. Barely 8 years ago, she entered the Yi family house as my personal maid. I always treated her like a precious little sister. Yet everyone else never stopped reminding her. Now she gets to marry me and be my wife. Plus, I just loudly declared to a total stranger that no master-servant gap exists between us. She was completely overwhelmed. Right then and there, Wang Yucai just smiled. Seems Mr. is a decent man who spoils his wife. Then he asked to join me for a cup of tea at the cafe. Asked if I would accept, I just waved him off. Told him my wife already said it. I have actual business to handle right now. Where would I find the free time to drink tea with you? Wang Yucai nodded immediately. He seriously didn't expect me to brush him off so decisively. He swallowed his pride and dropped his voice a bit. Said he heard Mr. Yi possesses a miraculous healing medicine. Then he pitched his idea. He puts up the cash and we open a pharmacy together, splitting the profits 50% each. He wanted my thoughts. I gave him a deadpan answer. I only had one bottle of that healing potion, and Dan bought it ages ago. Besides, I like my freedom. Not interested in starting a business with anyone. Forget the 50%. Even if he offered 90% and kept 10, I wouldn't touch a deal with this Wang guy. He let out a cold snort. He snapped Yong Yun. Your father never dared ignore me like this. I laughed sarcastically. Do I even know you? Why the hell should I show you any respect? Seeing his usual tricks failing completely, those 7 men in black robes stepped up in perfect sync, clearly trying to pressure me into following his orders against my will. Shanwan frowned in pure anger. With a metallic flash, she drew her curved black blade. I stayed completely calm, pushing my defenses to the max. Prepped my mental skills, ready to pull the gun from spatial storage anytime. Wang Yucai waved his hand and the 7 men backed off. He forced a smile. You are pretty young, Yong Yun. Warned me not to be so reckless. I just smiled right back. If you aren't reckless and impulsive, are you really young? Wang Yucai choked down his boiling anger. If we weren't in the street, but out in the wilderness beyond the city walls, he would have captured me ages ago. He spoke with total confidence. Yong Yun, across the entire Qinggong province, I am the only one equipped to work with you. Anyone else? They would never dare. Added that he prefers kindness before resorting to brute force. So he is giving me 3 full days to think. After that, he expects an answer that ends this dispute. After spitting those harsh words, he flicked his sleeve sharply and turned to leave. The 7 cloaked men shot me one last hateful glare, fell into line behind him, and the procession headed toward the spring pavilion. Xiaowan watched the 8 men leave. Then she dropped her voice completely. Young master, they actually threatened you. Want me to sneak into spring pavilion tonight and finish this? I waved her off. No need to rush. Everything is totally under control. I turned to the Bai family father and daughter. Why are you just standing there staring into space like total idiots? Those property deeds you lost to me, and the 4,000 silver you owe. Hand everything over right now. If I don't see them today, you can both head straight to prison and join Bai Chong. Bai Dan nodded frantically. He shook with absolute terror, begging me. Yong Yun, please do not report us. I will get it right now. His face was totally paper white. He figured I'd be too scared of Manager Wang to actually come and claim the shop and houses. But he never imagined I wouldn't take Wang Yucai seriously in the slightest, and that Li Wei would keep taking my side, intentional or not. Bai Dan looked up, sighing. The Bai family was truly finished. After that, I told Basin to grab his guy, unload the silk by the door, and move it all into the back storage. Then I fired every shop worker with a sing sense. None of you ever need to come back. Starting right now, this silk shop no longer belongs to the Bai family. It's Yi family property. When the 6 workers threw a massive fit demanding their pay, I waved them off. Go ask Bai Duhan for your money. Next, I walked straight into the blacksmith next door and spent 300 copper coins on a heavy brass lock. Xiaowan, stand guard at the door. Do not let anyone in. She nodded. She locked the shop door tightly from the inside while I walked alone to the storage room. One single thought, whoosh. Every roll of silk and piece of fabric in that room was pulled straight into my private space. Fabric stacked on the shelves, silver hidden in the lockbox. I didn't leave a single thing behind. I also grabbed the crucial account ledgers, especially the one listing every town resident who bought on credit. Once everything was secured in my space, I quietly walked out, locked the front door on my way, and just like that, Then I took Xiaowan, and we headed back to the Bai family mansion alongside Bai San. Land deeds, house deeds, and those 4,000 taels of silver. I had to collect them myself. Meanwhile, back at the spring pavilion, someone spoke up. Mr. Wang, why didn't you let us brothers finish off that little punk, right then and there? The guy speaking was the leader of the black-robed men known as Big Ghost. He and his 6 brothers were veterans who had faced life and death together. They called themselves the 7 Ghosts of Guangnan. They ranked 5th on the Great Qin Dynasty assassin roster. Half a year ago, these 7 started working directly under Wang Yukai. Wang Yukai had made them a massive, irresistible promise. Once his shadowy backer finally got exactly what he wanted, these 7 could have it all. Gold, jewels, beautiful women, high-ranking titles, and massive salaries. They could pick whatever they desired. Driven by that incredibly tempting promise, the 7 ghosts of Guangnan swore to lay down their lives and futures for Wang Yukai and his boss. Right now, their mission was to guard Wang Yukai and safely transport all his secretly hoarded silver straight to the capital. Wang Yukai smiled. Big ghost. Killing that little punk would be easy enough. But what I really want is that healing medicine recipe he's holding on to. Big ghost, replied Mr. Wang. From what I've seen of this Yong Yun kid, I highly doubt he'll ever cooperate. Wang Yukai rapped his knuckles against the wood. Tap tap. I gave him 3 whole days. If he really doesn't know what's good for him, we'll drag him in here and let him learn exactly what it feels like to beg for a death he's entirely denied. Shortly after, Xiao Wan and I reached the Bai family mansion. Bai Duhan immediately invited us into the sitting room and had servants bring out tea and snacks. I didn't touch a single drop. By now, Bai Duhan hated me to the bone. He couldn't hit me, couldn't fight back. There was absolutely zero guarantee he wouldn't stoop to some filthy trick like spitting in the tea. Even worse, if this old bastard decided to fight to the bitter end, he might secretly slip poison into the tea. My body might be completely immune to blades and spears, but that offered zero protection against poison. Better to stay careful. Xiao Wan was staring longingly at the plate of pastries, practically drooling. I asked, want a taste? She nodded, grinning. I lowered my voice, warning her seriously. Not a single person in the Bai family is good. Careful, they might have poisoned these pastries. Xiao Wan's eyes went wide in shock. She quickly covered her mouth. Young master, if they really poisoned us, I'll kill them all. Hold on. Business first. Once we get those deeds, I'll take you out for amazing food. Young master, you're seriously too good to me. Xiao Wan leaned in close and whispered, once we buy food, let's head straight home. I still really want to consummate our marriage tonight. Just then, Bai-san brought in a small wooden box. Yong Yun. Here are the land and house deeds for the silk shop. He handed me 2 papers. I checked them carefully, confirmed they were real, and safely tucked them inside my robe. He added, here are the deeds for the 2 massive South City mansions. He handed me 4 more papers. I read them carefully. They detailed the exact location and size of each mansion perfectly. The locations were prime and neither was small. Counting the front courtyard, the backyard gardens, main hall, and side wings, each mansion covered over 4,000 square meters. I chuckled quietly to myself. This little trip into town definitely wasn't a waste of time. Soon I'll move Morong Shuang and the girls out to the county seat. Then I'll get a massive 10-foot wide bed built. Beside me, she saw me grinning foolishly at the deeds. Xiao Wan completely forgot to take the banknotes. Bai Duhan was holding out. Young master, what's on your mind? You're smiling so happily. I snapped out of my daydream and wiped my mouth. Just thinking that once we move into the new mansion, we'll buy an amazing feast to celebrate. Xiao Wan's eyes immediately lit up. That's an amazing idea, young master. I reached out and took the banknotes from Bai Duhan. I counted them, frowning heavily. How is this only 3,000 taels? You're 1,000 short. Pain twisted Bai Duhan's face. Master Yi, this is my family's entire fortune without exception. Can you give me some extra time? Once I scrape the rest together, I will personally bring it right to you. I did not believe a single word of it. Your Bai family has traded here for years. Are you telling me you cannot pull together just 1,000 taels right now? Master Yi, I recently filled a whole warehouse with silk, and I just bought these 2 massive mansions down in the South City. I furnished both with expensive pieces. Counting the 2,000 taels the Yamen handed over today, I have spent 5,000 taels in total. The house is completely out of silver. I would never dare lie to you. Bai Duhan spoke, his heart bleeding. The shop was gone, the house lost, his savings entirely wiped out. How was he supposed to survive now? Not to mention his only son was facing certain death. This entire disaster hit them just because the boy paid to have someone killed. No, that wasn't right. This was entirely his daughter Bai Jia's fault. If that girl had never broken off her engagement to me back then, would he have gambled away the shop, the houses, and his life savings? The thought made Bai Duhan want to string his daughter up and beat her. Everything had been fine. Why the hell did she break the engagement? Fine, I will let you save face this time. Pay back the remaining 1,000 taels as fast as possible. I stood up to leave and my eyes happened to catch a pair of elegant vases on the long side table. Xiao Wan, do you like these? Xiao stepped over and picked one up to study. Young master, the painted peonies on this vase are absolutely gorgeous. I really like it. Take it then. Xiao Wan laughed lightly and simply picked up the second vase. Young master, this cup caught my eye too, and this bowl is amazing. Oh, this chair would suit you perfectly, young master. Watching Xiao Wan grab item after item, Bai Duhan started to panic. Yong Yun, the things your wife is taking are worth at least a few hundred taels. We need to write up a new debt note. I cannot owe you 1,000 anymore. 500 at most. I shot him a sidelong glance, my tone completely ice cold. Your son hired an assassin to kill me, and you tried dragging Director Wang in to ruin me. My wife simply picked out a few trinkets she liked, yet you still have the nerve to ask for a debt deduction. Bai, consider all this as interest. It is what your Bai family truly owes me. Shocked by my sharp tone, Bai Dasan did not dare utter another word. Half an hour later, Xiao and I drove away from the mansion in their very own carriage. The carriage was completely packed, with everything Xiao Wan had carefully picked out. Before leaving, I gave the Bai father and daughter one final warning. Those two South City mansions belong to me now. If anyone dares touch a single item inside, even a blade of grass, they can look forward to rotting in prison right alongside Bai Chong. The carriage swayed through the county town. As we passed by old Master Xiao's restaurant, Xiao Wan suddenly shouted in pure excitement, "Young master, I want to run in and grab 5 roast chickens." Old Master Xiao still owed her 25 roast chickens. It was a serious debt Xiao Wan would never forget for the rest of her life. Since we happened to be in town today, she decided to collect 5 chickens now and settle the rest later. Moments later, Xiao Wan emerged carrying 5 roast chickens. "Young master, this is for you." She ripped off a drumstick and handed it over. I skipped the polite formalities, took it and bit in. Oh wow. Old Master Xiao's roast chicken really was something special. No wonder Xiao Wan could never stop thinking about it. Actually, I still had quite a few stashed away in my storage space too. They were all system rewards I just had not managed to eat yet. I could always share some with Xiaowan later on. Watching Xiaowan devour the food with such an intense appetite, the driver up front swallowed hard. But Xiaowan had incredibly sharp eyes. "Do you want some too?" The driver frantically shook his head. This humble servant would never dare. "Your driving is good. Once we reach Qingyun village, I will give you one." Xiaowan was incredibly generous. "Thank you, miss," the driver quickly replied in deep gratitude. Soon enough, the carriage rolled to a steady stop outside my house in Qingyun village. The driver helped haul all the items from the carriage into the house. I kindly tipped him 20 copper coins. True to her word, Xiaowan handed over a roast chicken, though she ripped both drumsticks off first. Even so, the driver bowed repeatedly in deep, genuine gratitude. Mengu came out smiling. She stared at the massive pile of items and asked husband, "You bought so much, this must have cost an absolute fortune in silver, right?" Xiaowan quickly jumped in to answer. "Sister Shuang, this did not cost us a single copper. It was entirely gifted to us by the Bai family." Mingu was completely taken aback. Why would the Bai family give us all this? Have they finally realized their mistake? Do they want us to pardon Bong? Xiaowan shook her head. Sister Shuang, the magistrate, has already sentenced that guy Bong to execution after the autumn. I picked these out myself from the Bai estate because Bai Dasan owes our young master a massive mountain of silver. Actually, the young master even won their family silk shop, along with 2 massive mansions down in the South City. The more she talked, the more she impressed herself. Today she got to eat roast chicken and even had a fun fight. Murong Shuang, meanwhile, was completely lost. He snagged a shop in luxury homes. She pulled her aside. In just 3 minutes, she summarized the entire wild morning for Murong Shuang and the 3 Li sisters. Hearing the whole story, the 4 girls thought it was completely unbelievable. Murong Shuang, most of all, she never imagined her husband had such insane dice skills. Then I pulled a roll of something from the cloth bag and handed it straight to Murong Shuang. "Here you go, dear." Murong Shuang grabbed it, flipping it over repeatedly. It was soft, thin paper with 3 folded layers. She asked what it was, having never seen anything like it. I smiled. "It is called toilet paper. You use it to clean yourself." Murong Shuang blushed instantly, while the 3 Li sisters quickly lowered their heads in sheer embarrassment. Xiaowan, meanwhile, just giggled and asked the young master for some too. She figured it had to be way more comfortable than using leaves. I told her absolutely. I pulled out another roll and pressed it firmly into her hands. She thanked me, her face completely lighting up. The 3 Li sisters stared at the paper in Murong Shuang and Xiaowan's hands, totally envious. Back at their estate in the capital, the sisters used rough hemp cloth in the washroom, and even that was too expensive for normal families. Later, after their father was framed and tossed into a freezing dungeon, the 3 sisters got exiled to Lingnan for hard labor. Along the trip, they slept on the dirt and ate outdoors. Out in the wild mountains, they only had tree leaves or even bamboo strips to get by. Now that Murong Shuang and Xiaowan got to use this soft paper from here on out, how could they not be insanely jealous? The 3 sisters kept wondering to themselves, why hasn't Master Yi brought up marrying us yet? Almost like reading their minds, I pulled another roll from the bag and handed it to Li Qingning. "This one is yours." She could barely believe she was actually getting one too. She had never seen anything like it, but one glance told her this paper was incredibly precious. Even wealthy families in the capital would think twice before using something like this. And yet here I was, just handing her a whole roll. Thinking back on how I saved them, giving them food, shelter, fresh clothes, and now this insanely expensive gift on top of everything. Hot tears instantly filled Li Qingning's eyes, giving me a proper formal bow. I just smiled. We are one family now, I told her, no need for formalities. Hearing that word family made Li Qingning blush a deep, shy red. I said they get some too, handing 2 more rolls to Li Qingyu and Li Qinghua. The 2 sisters were just as moved, thanking me endlessly. All 5 women clutched the toilet paper, refusing to let go. Murong Shuang asked if I bought it from town. She asked why she'd never seen it before. I had my story ready. A friend gave it to me. I claimed this friend had connections everywhere. He could always get his hands on rare little items like this. A white lie I told without an ounce of guilt. Xiao Wan scratched her head. Confused, master, I was with you all day. She never saw me meet any friend. I smiled, gently patting her shoulder. Did you forget? Back in town, I sneaked into Boss Xiao's tavern for roast chicken while you waited outside. That is when I bumped into him. We talked, and he handed me this bag of rare goods. Oh right, I have more good stuff for everyone. I quickly changed the subject, pulling a lighter from the bag. Xiao Wan asked what it was, her eyes wide with intense curiosity. It is called a lighter. Blink her big innocent eyes. Xiao Wan actually asked if she could eat it. Before I could answer, Murong Shuang cut in. Xiao Wan, why is your head always full of food? This thing is rock solid. How can you eat in closer? Do you not see the water inside? I bet it is for drinking. Am I right? She asked. I burst out laughing. Totally wrong, my wife. This thing is never eaten or drunk. It is a fire starter. Looking super confused, Xiao Wan asked how that was possible. There was clearly water inside of it. How can water burn? Murong Shuang and the others looked just as lost. It looks like water, but it is actually gas. I explained it was called butane. It is compressed inside, so it just looks like liquid. Any deeper explanation would go right over their heads, so I figured showing them would be way better. Click. I flicked the lighter right in front of everyone. A bright yellow flame erupted with a soft hiss. Xiao Wan's jaw dropped in absolute shock. Master, it really makes fire. I gave a smiling nod. This one is yours. From now on, you can start a fire out in the wild and roast game whenever you want. I showed her how it worked right then and there. Barely 3 seconds later, she had it perfectly mastered. Xiao Wan simply refused to let the lighter go. She lit the flame, blew it out, flicked it on again, and blew it out, having the absolute time of her life. Master, this thing is ridiculously fun. I warned her, do not overdo it. Once the gas inside runs out, it becomes completely useless. Xiao Wan let out a soft gasp. She tucked the lighter into her clothes like a precious treasure, keeping it close to her chest. I pulled out 4 more lighters for Murong Shuang and the 3 Li sisters. The 4 girls copied Xiao Wan perfectly, sparking up tiny flames, and the 3 sisters thanked me again. Xiao Wan was amazed. Master, this friend of yours must have incredible powers. He can get his hands on any rare and special item in the world. When are you inviting him over so I can finally meet him too? I answered her mysteriously. This friend is a very busy man. But when he finds some free time, I will definitely invite him over. Then I quickly changed the subject. Almost noon. Let's go prepare some food. I handed the cloth sack to the 3 sisters. There was still some rice left inside, along with a thick slice of pork. For lunch, we are having braised pork served right over rice. While the 3 sisters cooked, Xiao Wan grabbed me and yanked me straight into her bedroom. Then she reached back and bolted the door shut. Master, those assassins totally ruined everything last night. We never got to properly consummate our marriage. And since we are not eating yet anyway, why not finish it right now? I assumed she dragged me into the bedroom so mysteriously to whisper some secret. I never imagined it was about this. Xiao Wan, didn't we finish this a few times last night? Master, you are remembering it wrong. Xiao Wan was absolutely not taking no for an answer. Anyway, I want it right this second. Before she could even finish her sentence, she shoved me hard onto the bed. Roughly half an hour later, Li Qingning called out from behind the door. Master Yi, Sister Xiao Wan, food is ready. Come out and eat first. The meat will not taste good cold. As for your other business, there is plenty of time for that after you both eat your fill. Hearing that the meat would not taste good cold, Xiao Wan paused. Kneeling on the bed, she turned her head toward me. Master, are you feeling hungry? I shook my head. I already ate the chicken thigh you gave me in town this morning. I am not that hungry yet. Xiao Wan let out an understanding sigh. I kept doing what I was doing, but shortly after she spoke again. Master, I think I am actually getting hungry. Fine, fine. I am almost finished. Almost there. A few minutes later, Xiaofan sat at the dining table, complete satisfaction glowing across her face. Li Qingning brought over a bowl of clean water. Master Yi, wash your hands. While washing my hands, I asked her casually, Qingning, after lunch, will you be ready to hold our wedding ceremony? Li Qingning froze in place, saying absolutely nothing for a long moment. Master Yi had not forgotten her after all. He was finally going to marry her. An overwhelming emotion flooded her chest. Surprised, I asked her what is wrong. Are you unwilling? She quickly shook her head. No, Master Yi, I really do want to. If you had not stepped in, my sisters and I would not know if we would be dead or alive right now. This incredible kindness of yours, we three sisters will remember it for the rest of our lives. From now on, we will always stay by your side. We will serve you with all our heart and soul. I nodded, smiling faintly. Knowing you three hold such sincere feelings deeply touches my heart. In a few days, I head to the capital. There, I will do everything in my power to save your family from this mess. The absolute second I said those words, Li Qingning dropped to her knees with a heavy thud. If you can actually clear my father's name of these heavy charges, the entire Li clan will never forget your incredible grace for as long as we live. Even if you told us three sisters to die, we would not utter a single complaint. I quickly helped her up. I already value you three more than enough. Why would I ever ask you to die? Do not worry, I have some extra money now. Once I reach the capital, I will spend it finding the right connections to help overturn your father's case. Done washing my hands, I gently took Li Qingning's hand and we sat down together at the dining table. Lunch was that slow-cooked braised pork over rice. Xiaowan devoured 3 massive bowls of food in one sitting, while I enjoyed my meal in happy silence. Once we finished eating, Li Qingning brewed some hot tea and brought it right over. Master, please have some tea. I drank a cup, then stood up and called both Murong Shuang and Xiaowan over to the east wing. Some things just had to be said. My 2 dear wives. That is exactly how I started the conversation, completely skipping the introductions. I am actually planning to marry all 3 Li sisters. How do you 2 feel about this? Xiaowan was the first to completely light up with joy. Those 3 sisters can cook, sew, and even treat the sick. Master, I raise both hands in full support of you marrying all 3. That was not just her being polite or throwing out fake compliments. The 3 sisters called her big sister every single chance they got. Naturally, she was going to fully support them. And honestly, more importantly, from here on out, all the daily washing, cooking, they could handle the dishwashing now. How could she not be thrilled? But Murong Shuang was thinking much further ahead. Husband, we have known the 3 Li sisters for less than 3 days, but I know they are kind-hearted. I fully support you taking them as wives. Then her tone shifted completely. But husband, you cannot spend all your days lost in women like this. You have to shoulder the Yi family's burdens. I scratched my head, confused. Wife, what burdens does the Yi family even have left? Murong Shuang looked dead serious. Husband, our daily expenses are huge right now. We need a real way to make a living now. Xiaowan and I are highly skilled fighters. Li Qingning can hold her own in a fight and her sister is a skilled healer. So I was thinking, why don't we reopen the Yi family escort agency? Once the agency grows, it will truly honor your late father and brother. She paused, her eyes growing dark. And one more thing, that escort mission 3 months ago was completely suspicious from start to finish. Husband, shouldn't we uncover the truth and avenge your father and older brother? My heart skipped a beat at her words. I couldn't tell if it was guilt or something else entirely. Honestly, I had crossed over from a totally different world. I had absolutely zero blood ties to this Yi family. But Murong Shuang and Xiaowan treated me with absolute sincerity, and now, they were both my wives. So through reason, logic, and pure emotion, I had to help the Yi family uncover the dark truth of this bloody case. I will drag out everyone who robbed that shipment, sending them down to keep Yi Tian and Yi Finglai company. I replied completely seriously, wife, you are absolutely right. These past 2 days, I definitely got a little too carried away here. I promise to restore the Yi family escort agency's honor. I will dig up the truth and find exactly who dared to steal that shipment 3 months ago. Whoever they are, even royal family members, I will send them straight down to keep my father and brother company. Shuang hurriedly waved her hands. Husband, I never meant to give you a lecture. I cut her off. Wife, I completely understand. We move to the city tomorrow and officially reopen the escort agency. But for now, let me marry Qingning first. She can become one of our escort guards too. After that, Li Qing'a heated a huge pot of water and personally helped her sister bathe. Once finished, Li Qingning changed into a bright, stunning red wedding dress. To prove I was taking this seriously, I went and washed myself thoroughly as well. Skipping the complex rituals, I jumped straight into the wedding ceremony with Li Qingning. First, bow to heaven and earth. Second, bow to the elders. Then we bowed to each other and headed straight for the bridal room. I carried Li Qingning to the bedroom and lifted her red veil. Her whole face was flushed a shy crimson. Husband, from now on I belong only to you. I lifted her chin, smiling. I will never let you down. She replied, I completely believe you. Skipping the sweet talk, I reached out to carefully undress her. Husband, let me help you. Li Qingning softly slipped off my long robe. At that exact moment, my ear twitched. Faint footsteps sounded outside the door. Thinking fast, I quietly pushed my senses outward in that direction. Good lord, it was Xiao Wan. She had tiptoed up and was pressing her ear flat against the door crack, quietly eavesdropping. And she definitely wasn't alone. She had dragged Li Qingyu and Li Qing'e right along with her. Xiao Wan was clearly a pro at this, pressing her ear hard against the wooden door. The two sisters were blushing bright red from embarrassment, standing far back and not daring to get closer. Inside the room, I smirked to myself, listen all you want. Listen closely. The more you listen, the better it gets. I gently laid Li Qingning on the bed and whispered, wife, your husband is about to put in some hard work now. She gave a tiny nod and shut her eyes. Husband, come, I am completely ready. Just please be gentle with me. About half an hour later, a familiar sound chimed in my head. My system notification tone. Congratulations to the host on marrying your third wife. Reward 5 Desert Eagle handguns with 5,000 bullets. Reward the Crimson Moon Dagger. Reward 1,000 bottles of Pepsi. Reward 1,000 bottles of wine. All items have been safely delivered to your storage space. The host may check them anytime. I felt so unbelievably hyped that I almost rolled right off Li Qingning. Desert Eagle handguns, 5 of them all at once, plus 5,000 rounds of ammo. I had to admit, the system truly outdid itself this time. To show my gratitude, I gently patted Li Qingning, rolling her onto her side to sleep in utter peace. Outside the door, Li Qingyu and Li Qing'e were still standing there, their faces burning bright red with extreme embarrassment. They quickly retreated out to the courtyard. Xiao Wan chased after them. Hey, you two. Why did you stop listening? Li Qingyu muttered faintly. Sister Xiao Wan, if the master catches us eavesdropping, he won't be happy at all. Xiao Wan grinned widely. Master is incredibly laid back. A tiny little thing like this, he would never take it seriously or get mad over it. Li Qing'e stood aside, asking shyly, Sister Xiao Wan, is my big sister getting bullied in there? Xiao Wan was totally startled by the question. Why are you asking about this? Just a moment ago outside the door, I heard my older sister screaming. Sounded like she was in serious pain. As for Ling Yu, her sister's cries were so miserable she was convinced Mr. Yi had abused her. Standing right beside her, Ling felt so incredibly awkward from her second sister's question. She wished the ground would just open up and swallow her whole, but Xiao Wan just burst out laughing. She told Sister Qingyu that when she marries the master, she'll finally understand why her older sister screamed like that. And as she spoke, Murong Shuang walked over holding 2 freshly washed apples. She asked Xiao Wan to call her husband out to eat one. Xiao Wan just waved her off. Sister Shuang, the master is busy with very important business right now. Zero time for apples. I'll just eat this one for him. With that, she snatched an apple right out of Murong Shuang's hand and took a massive crunchy bite. Murong Shuang frowned, asking Xiao Wan if she realized how fragile their husband was. He's always been incredibly weak. He just married 2 brides in a matter of 2 days. We really need to watch his health. And honestly, that was the exact reason she insisted on calling me outside. A young man shouldn't spend all his time drowning in those kinds of activities. He really needs to do something more productive. Xiao Wan shook her head while chewing the apple. Sister Shuang, I don't think the master is fragile at all. If you ask me, his body is way stronger than before. Did you forget? The day before yesterday, he ordered me to punch him hard. I only used 1/10 of my full power. A normal person could never take a hit like that, but he tanked it perfectly. Honestly, ever since he survived that hanging incident, his body has become even tougher than your average martial artist. The more she talked, the more excited she got. If I hadn't craved some braised pork at noon, the master would still be hugging me in bed right now. That single sentence made Murong Shuang and the Li sisters turn completely red with sheer embarrassment. Xiao Wan, are you completely ignoring what I just said? Murong Shuang pretended to be furious. Xiao Wan just chuckled. Sister Shuang, how could I ever dare ignore you? I'll go call the master for his apple now. But if he gets annoyed, don't blame me. With that, she swiped the other apple from Murong Shuang's hand too, sprinting over to knock on his door. What is it? I answered calmly from inside. She replied, Master, Sister Shuang wants you outside for an apple. Xiao Wan, consider that apple a reward. I called back through the door, adding, tell Sister Shuang I'll come keep her company in a bit. Exactly as Xiao Wan predicted, I was incredibly busy. How could I care about chewing on some apple right now? Forget the apple. At this exact moment, this steamed bun was far more important. Xiao Wan just strolled back into the courtyard holding the fruit. Sister Shuang, you insisted on calling the master for an apple. Were you seriously just worried about his health? What else could it possibly be? Xiao Wan smiled wickedly. Sister Shuang, the way I see it, the real reason is the master hasn't found enough time to consummate his marriage with you yet. You just needed an excuse to call him. Murong Shuang flushed bright red, snapping back, stop talking nonsense. Xiao Wan just replied, Sister Shuang, no need to be shy. Xiao Wan leaned in close. The master said he'll be out soon to keep you company. He wants you to hurry up, take a bath, and wait for him in the east wing. Dropping that sudden bombshell, she grabbed both apples and sprinted toward the courtyard gate. her face burning. Murong Shuang turned and headed back to the east wing. A short while later, feeling totally refreshed, I finally stepped into the outer courtyard and washed up with some well water. Changing into fresh clothes, I pushed open the east wing door. My wife Shenwan asked if I was looking for her. Murong Shuang looked at me with pure worry. Husband, you're the very last heir of the Yi family now. Don't let these affairs between a man and a woman ruin your health. I just replied, dear wife, you can completely relax. I smiled. Your husband is incredibly strong right now. If you don't believe me, just feel it yourself. I pressed her hand against my chest. Well, feel how solid my chest is? Murong Shuang just nodded with bright red cheeks. Check out these shoulders. Broad, solid, and strong enough to carry the entire Yi family. Then I guided her hand to my shoulder. Ever since taking that marrow cleansing pill, I realized something hugely important. That pill didn't just purge impurities from my body. Its effect on building raw strength and vitality was absolutely insane. Honestly, 7 times a night is absolutely nothing. And for the next half hour, I gave Murong Shuang a full round of deep relaxation. Once we finally finished, I brought Murong Shuang, Shanwan, and the 3 Li sisters right outside the village to the nearby forest. Husband, why did you bring us so far away? Murong Shuang asked. I just smiled. Dear wife, didn't you complain that I only think about one thing at home? So I brought you here for something genuinely meaningful. Mongo turned bright red. Shawan just looked totally lost, asking me what I meant by something meaningful. Shooting, I reached inside my jacket and with just a thought, I pulled a Desert Eagle from my storage space. Shooting. Shawan blinked. She asked if this gun was another fire starter. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Not a fire starter at all. This thing is called a handgun. Just one bullet can drop a man from 100 paces away. Shuang grew even more confused. She asked what 100 was and if it was edible. Why is her head always focused on food? I sighed slowly. I mean that from 100 paces out, I can easily take down any enemy with this gun. Xiaowan just kept shaking her head, not buying a word. She told me to stop trying to prank her. A tiny thing like this killing someone from 100 paces out. It wasn't just Xiaowan. Meng Wang and the 3 Li sisters looked totally skeptical too. If I told them a bow and arrow could kill from 100 paces, they would buy it instantly. But this tiny palm-sized thing in my hand, it just didn't look like it packed that kind of serious destructive power. Suddenly, Murong Shuang seemed to figure something out. She quickly asked me if that thing I was holding was actually a hidden weapon mechanism. You pull the trigger, and a poison needle shoots from that tiny black hole, taking a life from 100 paces away. I nodded. Calling a handgun a hidden weapon mechanism wasn't too far from the truth. In principle, they were actually pretty similar. The only difference is that a gun uses gunpowder to propel the bullet. That makes it way more accurate and far-reaching than any standard hidden weapon they knew. After that, I found a football-sized lump of clay lying around in the woods. I carefully placed it on a twisted tree branch that sat just slightly above eye level. Then I backed up 60 paces, maybe 80 meters away. I told my wives it was time to witness a real miracle. I raised the handgun, lined up my sights, and aimed dead at the clay. Bang! But that lump on the branch didn't move an inch. The sudden deafening blast startled Murong Shuang and the others so badly they quickly clamped their hands over their ears. Confused, Xiaowan asked why there was thunder on a clear day. I told her it wasn't thunder, just my gun. She asked how something so incredibly loud could completely miss that lump of clay. An awkward smile spread across my face. Just a miss. I told them to watch me try another shot. I stepped forward 12 paces, raised the gun, and aimed again. Another blast. The lump of clay instantly shattered into tiny pieces. Xiaowan and the others stood there, totally stunned and speechless. Holy crap, a lump of clay that massive shattered just like that. If that bullet hit a guy in the head, it would absolutely split his skull in half. Xiaowan stepped closer, calling it amazing and asking to take a look. I clicked the safety on, then handed her the gun. Xiaowan turned the weapon over and over, studying it closely for a while. Then she copied my stance, raising it to aim at a huge tree nearby. Click, she squeezed the trigger hard. But the gun didn't fire at all. She asked if it could only hold one hidden weapon at a time. I quickly barked a warning at her. This thing is incredibly deadly. Never point that barrel at a person. If you slip up and hit that trigger, one stray bullet could easily take a life. I had to learn that lesson the hard way once. I recklessly waved a gun around and accidentally dropped one of my own men. I snatched it back and flicked the safety off right in front of her. This is the safety. You have to switch it off first. Then squeeze the trigger before the rounds in the magazine can actually fire. As I spoke, I aimed at a nearby tree and pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet whistled straight into the trunk, handing it back to Xiaowan. I made it clear the barrel points only at enemies, never your own people. Xiaowan nodded solemnly, raised the gun, aimed straight at the tree, and pulled the trigger. Bang! A totally perfect shot. The bullet buried itself dead center in the trunk. Xiaowan ran over, poking at the deep hole to inspect it closely. She noted that the hidden weapon punched clean through the wood, saying it would pierce right through enemy armor into their flesh. Spot on. I nodded, explaining that the armor on Great Shin troops and generals couldn't stop a bullet at all. And I wasn't just bragging. Some Great Shin generals definitely wore incredibly premium armor, but I had a massive stockpile of ammo stashed in my inventory. Even if their gear stopped one shot, I would just keep firing round after round. Sooner or later, I was guaranteed to punch right through. After that, I started teaching Murong Shuang and the three Li sisters how to shoot, paying extra attention to Li Qingyu and Li Qinghua. One was a highly gifted lady, a master of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. The other was an expert healer who had memorized basically every medical text in existence. Sure, they were highly educated, but they lacked even basic combat skills for self-defense. Learning to shoot at least gave them an extra way to stay alive if things got dangerous. Standing right behind Li Qingyu, my right arm wrapped around her waist. Gripping her hand firmly with my left, I slowly taught her how to aim. Master, this gun sounds absolutely terrifying. With every single shot, Li Qingyu actually trembled in fear. I whispered in her ear, "Stop calling me master, call me brother-in-law." Li Qingyu gave a soft hum. She claimed she already knew how to fire the gun. I told her not quite yet. To shoot properly, you have to completely clear your mind of distractions. Then she suddenly whispered, "Brother-in-law, you are clearly hiding another weapon under there." How did she know? She replied she could actually feel it. Within the time it takes 2 incense sticks to burn, I taught both Li Qingyu and Li Qingwei until they practically mastered it. Loading the magazine, racking the slide, and toggling the safety. I taught these basic steps to all 5 girls too. The second I finished explaining, I pulled 4 extra handguns from my coat and passed them out. One for each of you. Keep them close for self-defense. Meng Wang and the others thanked me and took the weapons. Xiaowan alone refused. She said, "Master, when fighting, I still strongly prefer using my bare hands. Besides, the dagger you gave me earlier works perfectly. I will just stick with that." I let it go. Xiaowan possessed incredible skills anyway. No ordinary person could touch her. I handed Murong Shuang and the other 330 rounds of ammo each. Xiaowan watched all this in complete confusion. She asked, "Master, exactly how much stuff are you hiding in there?" 5 guns plus over 100 rounds of ammo. The total weight has to be 20 or 30 pounds easily. She could not understand how it all fit under my clothes. I told her that was it, just the 5 guns and the ammo. Xiaowan pressed on, "Master, all these weapons. All this ammo. Do not tell me your friend gave you all of this too." "That is exactly right. My friend gave them to me." I kept a totally straight face. Where else would I find such rare goods? "Master, this friend of yours is truly incredible. A hidden weapon like this, I have never seen anything like it in my life. I bet even the Tang clan lacks weapons like these." "What is your friend's name anyway?" I just smiled slightly. "His name is Xiaohei." Xiaowan tilted her head in surprise. "Master, he goes by Xia but has no family name, just Xia." "This guy is not only powerful, but he is pretty mysterious too." Xiaowan nodded, not overthinking it. She did not know her own family name either. Just Xiaowan. Her name and Xiaohei were just one character apart. So I quickly changed the subject. "I originally planned to move everyone to the city tomorrow. But how about we go now?" Xiaowan agreed instantly. "Absolutely, master. Let us head out right away." 8 years ago, when she first joined the Yi family, she had always lived in Qingfeng City. Moving to Qingyun village was fine for a while, but it was nowhere near as practical or comfortable as city living. Whenever she craved roast chicken, she could just go buy it immediately. Meng Wang did not mind either, but the 3 Li sisters looked visibly worried. Li Qingning spoke up hesitantly, "Husband, the 3 of us are still criminals in the eyes of the law. Is moving to the city really a good idea?" I waved it off. "I am basically brothers with Magistrate Li back in Qingfeng City. I promise he will never give you any trouble." Meng Wang looked surprised and asked, "Husband, since when are you on such incredibly good terms with Magistrate Li?" "Today I helped him solve a major case. Every bit of silver seized from the criminal's house went straight into the state treasury. He clearly owes me a massive favor now. That is how our friendship started." Then I rushed them, "Enough talking for now. Go pack your things immediately. We are moving to the city right now." I led everyone back into the village, finally arriving at Sun Eru's front door. I told Xiaowan's group to go ahead and start packing. Meanwhile, I pushed the gate open and stepped straight into the Sun family courtyard. Sun Eru's father, Sun Changhai, was sitting in the courtyard sharpening his blade. I called out, "Uncle Sun, gather your things and pack up. You and Eru are moving to the city with me." He replied, "Second young master, did we not sell the city mansion a long time ago?" "Uncle Sun, just this very morning. I actually bought 2 extra mansions in the southern part of the city." Sun Changhai looked shocked. He said, "Second young master, you and Miss Murong can head back to the city on your own. The 2 of us will just stay here in the village," I replied, "Uncle Sun." I plan to reopen the Yi family escort agency. I need you and Iru to come back and help me. Sun Shanghai muttered in absolute shock. Reopen the agency. I nodded seriously. Uncle, son, I might be the only Yi family member left, but I refuse to spend my whole life hiding in this mountain valley like some coward. I will reopen the agency and restore the Yi family's former glory. I will rebuild it to be bigger and stronger than ever, making it truly shine again. Beside him, son Eru jumped to his feet. He said, Brother Yi, well said, I stand fully behind you. I want to be an escort guard. Sun Shanghai quickly scolded him. Eru, mind your manners, you need to call him second young master. How can you just call him brother? I cut him off, Uncle Sun. Do not blame Eru. I told him to call me that. I cut him off. There is no master or servant among us three. We are all family. Back when the Yi family hit hard times and the main estate was sold, Xiaoan, Murong Shuang, and I had nowhere to go. Uncle Sun and his son took us into their home. They gave up the house meant for their eldest son's wedding and let us stay absolutely free. I kept that massive favor close to my heart. Besides, once the agency grows, we will need good people. Uncle Sun and his son are trustworthy family. I can rely on them with a clear conscience. But Sun Chonghai held his ground firmly. Second young master, you are the master and we are the servants. That distinction in how we address each other cannot be blurred. Uncle Sun, I already said it. There is no master and servant between us. We might lack blood ties, but we are closer than family. From now on, drop the formalities. You and Erhu, hurry up, pack your bags and follow me to the city. The city has everything. Just bring a change of clothes and a little silver. Leave everything else right here at the house. Only then did Sun Chonghai finally nod. The work was dangerous, but deep down, he truly wanted to be an escort guard again. He refused to spend his life stuck in a tiny mountain village, barely scraping by on hunting. An hour later, a horse carriage and an ox cart left Kinyan village, loaded with all the packed luggage. I rented both carts from the village chief's house for 5 pieces of silver. At dusk, our group reached the southern city. The 2 manors Baidan lost to me sat side by side, their front doors locked tight and totally empty inside. When I grabbed the deeds from the Bai family house that morning, I completely forgot about the keys. Well, without them, I might as well swap out the locks entirely. I stepped up and shattered the bronze gate lock with one single punch. Then I pulled 30 silver pieces out. Erhu, go ask around and find a blacksmith shop. Buy plenty of bronze locks and come back so we can swap every single inside and outside lock across both manors. Erhu took the silver and sprinted east. Sun Chonghai started unloading the carts, and Murong Shuang and the others pitched in right away. Once inside the manor, Xiaowan and the rest excitedly picked out their favorite rooms right away. Meanwhile, Sun Chonghai carried his spare clothes to the backyard servant quarters. Shortly after, Erhu returned carrying a few dozen bronze locks. Brother Yi, I did not spend it all. He then handed me the remaining 20 pieces. I waved my hand off. Erhu, keep the silver. Go to the market tomorrow and buy new outfits for you and your dad. Once we pick a lucky day, we reopen the agency. On that day, I want everyone wearing fresh clothes, looking completely sharp and full of life. But Sun Erhu spoke up. Brother Yi, my dad and I have enough money for clothes. Reopening the agency is what really demands silver for bribes and building connections. I laughed out loud. My connections are rock solid these days. No need for silver to bribe anyone. Besides, I have plenty of money on hand right now. Just yesterday, I took 5,000 pieces from the Bai family, and they still owe me another 1,000. So I quickly told Uncle Sun and his son about my massive show in the city yesterday. The two listened in total shock. They never imagined that this manor we are standing in was something I won, and that I actually won 2 of these places, alongside a silk shop and several thousand silver pieces in banknotes. All of it went straight into my pocket. Once he finished listening, a faint smile crossed Erhu's face, and he tucked the 20-something silver pieces into his robes. While Xiaowan and the others were busy sorting out their rooms, I headed out for a quick stroll. When I returned, I carried a cloth bag packed with delicious food, and tucked inside were 7 marrow cleansing pills. I planned to hand these pills out, one for everyone around me, to strengthen their bodies and guarantee excellent health. To celebrate finally moving into this new house, the 3 Lee sisters went all out to cook a seriously lavish dinner feast. In the middle of the table sat a massive bottle of Pepsi alongside 2 red wine bottles. I smiled and called out Xiaowan. Have you ever tasted Pepsi before? Xiaowan shook her head. Master, I never have. Is this stuff actually drinkable? And why does the color look exactly like soy sauce? I twisted off the cap. I told her this drink is far more precious than soy sauce, actually a special gift from my friend Xia. I asked everyone to try it today. Since there were 0 glass cups in the house, we made do with teacups instead. Then I poured 1 cup for each person. Xiaowan could not wait. She grabbed her cup and took a quick sip, her brows instantly knitting together. She asked me again, Master, can you really drink this stuff? It feels like a bee stung my tongue. All fizzy and sharp. I answered her that bubbly feeling is exactly the point. I raised my cup and downed it in one gulp. What a refreshing drink. It tastes absolutely amazing. Then Murong Shuang and the rest raised their cups, each taking a tiny sip, and their reactions were an exact match to Xiaowan's. That fizzy sting immediately hit their tongues hard. Right after, I popped open some red wine. The system rewarded me with full crates of this premium wine, but absolutely zero corkscrews. So I just sliced the neck off with my dagger and poured everyone a glass. Vintage Lafite, year 82. Try it for yourselves. I took a tiny sip first, not bad at all. Definitely a solid system reward. Definitely not some cheap booze. Xiaowan held up her teacup and asked Master, what exactly is this stuff? It is red wine made from grapes. You could also call it fruit wine. And the second she heard it was made from grapes, Xiaowan tilted her head back and downed a massive gulps. Master, this red wine tastes a bit sour. Murong Shuang chimed in right beside her. Xiaowan. It is totally normal for fruit wine to be sour. It is fermented fruit after all. If it is way too sour, I will buy honey at the market tomorrow to mix in. Then you won't taste any sourness at all. Xiaowan beamed. Sister Shuang, you really love me the most here. Everyone drank up and chatted happily. We chatted for a bit. I asked Sunaru to boil a pot of water, then slipped into the back room. When I came back out, I carried 8 bowls of instant noodles, a massive pack of pickled mustard, and 2 bags of sausage. Since we just moved today, I decided to treat everyone to something you have never tasted before. Instant noodles with sausage, 2 pieces per person. Add a little pickled mustard, and the taste is absolutely out of this world. I poured boiling water into the 8 bowls, tossing 2 sausages into each one. The whole thing took under 3 minutes. That mouth-watering scent filled the room. Master, these instant noodles and sausages. I have truly never seen anything quite like this before. Do not tell me this stuff came from Shiai too. You guessed it, I nodded. If not from Shiai, where else would I get goods this rare? Anyway, it is ready. Dig in. I grabbed a huge forkful of noodles and shoved them into my mouth. So damn good, honestly better than the fanciest meats and fish. Back in the day, I survived on instant noodles because I was flat broke. Now stuck in this ancient era with loaded pockets, this cheap meal is suddenly a rare treasure. My stash drops by 1 single bowl every time I eat. Besides what is sitting in my storage space, you could never buy a bowl even for 1,000 silver taels. Master, this sausage is so amazing. Xiaowan mumbled through a mouthful of food. I swear it is way better than Mr. Xiao's roast chicken. In a flash, both sausages in her bowl vanished without a single trace. I tossed my 4 leftover sausages right into her bowl. Murong Shuang, the 3 sisters, and the Sun guys kept raving about how incredible this meal was. Xiaowan finished her noodles and wiped her mouth. Master, right now I really want to meet Shiai. Let's see what other rare stuff he is hiding. Shiai has been exhausted from work lately. The second he gets some free time, I will absolutely set up a meeting for you two. Master, better not forget that. I know I won't. Once everyone was fully stuffed with food and drink, Lying brewed another pot of tea. I cleared my throat, guys. You are my absolute closest friends and family. Today, I have a huge gift for everyone. Reaching into my clothes, I pulled out a small porcelain bottle. Xiaowan's eyes lit up eagerly. Master, what is inside? Don't tell me it is that kidney-boosting golden spear pill you sold, Mr. Xiao. I froze, completely mortified. Right on cue, Murong Shuang and the others all flushed bright red. Everyone knew Xiaowan was totally reckless and would just blurt out literally anything. But the Sun father and son were sitting right there, and she just casually spilled the entire story about me selling those golden spear pills to Mr. Xiao. Nobody knew exactly what this pill was, but hearing that ridiculous name was enough for almost everyone to guess its real purpose. Sun Shanghai kept his head down, sipping his tea without a single word. Inside, though, his mind was absolutely racing. No wonder the second young master can handle having so many wives. So this stuff is his secret weapon. He has too many to even use himself. That explains why he sells them. I should ask the second young master for one later. Then I will drop a few hundred coppers, testing its effect at Yi Chuiyuan brothel. Xiaowan, no more nonsense, I interrupted her immediately. When did I ever sell that? Xiaowan was stunned by his master lying to everyone. She was about to spill the entire story from that day. But the second she looked up, she met my furious death glare. She swallowed her words and kept quiet. I continued, my gift today is absolutely not that kind of pill. This magic pill cleanses every impurity built up in your bodies. Explaining this, I emptied all 7 marrow cleansing pills straight from the bottle. These are called marrow cleansing pills. Taking one strengthens your body and purges your impurities. It makes your inner energy much deeper and completely stable. Murong Shuang completely froze in shock. She turned to her husband, saying she actually heard martial artists whispering about this exact thing once. Rumor says the leaders of those major hidden sects have already taken them. She kept going, explaining that in the Great Sin dynasty, alongside the imperial family, huge clans and secret hidden sects exist too. These marrow cleansing pills are ridiculously rare. 10,000 pure gold taels wouldn't buy one. Totally confused, she asked where he actually found them and how he just casually pulled out 7 at once. Her mind was spinning. Ever since I hanged myself and somehow miraculously came back to life, she felt like I was a totally different guy, wrapped in this indescribable mystery, just pulling priceless rare treasures from my clothes in a flash. I kept swearing all of this came from my friend Xia, but she never bought it. How could anyone just hand over insanely rare treasures so easily? Where in the world do you even find a friend like that? And because of that exact reason, I looked more mysterious and complicated to Murong Shuang than ever before. But before I could even answer, Xiaowan suddenly jumped right in. She interrupted Sister Shuang, "Do you really need to ask? Master's marrow cleansing pills must have come straight from Xia.